Pat Welter, WRL. Bill, what do you say to people that fear that if you do succeed here, that you might leave for the NFL again in a year or two?
Yeah, I didn't come here to leave.
Listen to the people
Good
clapping
answer.
in the background.
It's a good answer, though.
It's a good answer, but it's also a Bill Belichick typical, you're not going to get much out of me answer. One more time, Bill Belichick was asked what happens if he has success, and here was his very thought out response.
You might leave for the NFL again in a year or two.
Yeah, I didn't come here to leave.
Thanks, Bill. Good job. We appreciate that. We appreciate that.
Contrast that with Dowell Loggins' introductory speech. They asked him how long he plans to stick around. He's like, well, I don't know.
I don't know.
Have me.
I don't know. That's a good question.
At least have an answer.
He had an answer. It wasn't very long-winded, but Bill Belichick did have an answer. The introductory press conference going on right now. We'll have some more audio from that to share with you on the show, but we're going to dive right back into the Bill Belichick conversation, Diesel. Two sides of the coin, as there always is. How the hire could benefit North Carolina, and on the flip side, how the hire, hate to go here, but how the hire could screw things up for North Carolina. Obviously, Diesel, we've talked about it. There seems to be a very split emotion, a very split opinion on the Bill Belichick hire from the people I've heard from and have listened to. A lot are in favor of it. A lot, like you and I, still have a little hesitation when it comes to Bill and Chapel Hill.
I mean, I would be totally heartbroken if North Carolina somehow continued to suffer as a football program. Geez.
Yeah, that'd be a tough day for you.
Man, what are we going to do?
He was wearing, Diesel, a suit and tie for the introductory press conference, and then A.D. Bubba Cunningham brought out a Bill Belichick North Carolina short sleeve hoodie. So he now has a short sleeve hoodie.
Most teams give the coach a jersey with their name stitched on the back. He got his own hoodie.
Yeah, that's what he got. He got a hoodie.
I wonder. See, this would be the most North Carolina thing ever. To just to have one and to hem the edges so that it doesn't fray.
Yeah.
No, Bill Belichick, you just take a pair of scissors, cut them off. You don't need fancy embroidery. You don't need to stitch the edge so that it doesn't come loose. No, just cut it off with scissors.
Cut it off. Welcome into Wire to Wire. He's Diesel. I'm Cole Bryson. It's a Thursday edition of Wire to Wire. So good to see JD on the stream. Ricky, mad about everything already. Toloing on the stream, 97.1 Spartanburg, 97.7 Greenville, and you can watch the show live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. We're going to get into the most watched teams in 2024 today. Be joined by home team Brandon Leak, good friend of the show, from 680 The Fan in Atlanta at 420. Tolo takeover today, Diesel. That's always fun. Round two of our Christmas bracket. And high school coaches spotlight for probably the very last time as state championships going on right now. I'll keep you updated on that. Clinton is playing one of the local teams that we cover. Clinton playing right now. They are winning. But how North Carolina Diesel could benefit from the Bill Belichick hire, also how it could set the program back. Do you want to start with how it could benefit them, or do you want to start with the latter and how it could set them back?
What's that old saying? I want to take the bad news first.
Bad news.
And then the good news.
Yeah.
But the bad news for me is that if North Carolina is better.
Well, that would be true.
I'm kidding.
It would be true.
Let's go bad news for North Carolina first. How could it hurt them?
This is interesting. I do think when you look at the hire, you have to break it down, Diesel, and analyze it in certain ways. Want to hear from you, Tolos, as well on how it could hurt them, how they could screw it up. Diesel, my opinion is if you hire Bill, if you let him run things, let's say for 3 to 6 years, for however long he wants to run things, he leaves. They do indeed hire his son, Steve Belichick, which he asked for in the proposal. Steve Belichick is the next head coach. Young players really don't know who Steve Belichick is. Yeah, he has the last name, but that in my mind would be the ultimate, we don't care about winning move.
Yeah.
Less about optics, more about winning. I think if they were to hire Bill and the plan is in place for Steve to follow in his footsteps, I think that would be one of the first major screw-ups to a program that's somewhat relevant in the ACC year in and year out.
Well, how long ago was it that Bill Belichick retired or was fired?
Last year, right?
From the Patriots. Is this his first year not with the Patriots?
I think so.
So why would an 18-year-old kid, 17-year-old kid, 16-year-old kid, because they recruit him at a younger and younger age, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why would a 16-year-old kid care about the son of a legendary NFL coach that retired from the NFL, had success there, but retired from the NFL 4 to 5 years prior, and maybe or maybe not had success at the University of North Carolina? Tell me why I would care unless Steve is taking his dad along with him on recruiting trips.
Yeah, it's interesting. Stephen Belichick Diesel, by the way, he is the current defensive coordinator for the University of Washington, a position he, I believe, got this season. He was an assistant coach for the Patriots from 2012 to 2023. So here's the deal with Stephen Belichick. We don't truly know if Stephen Belichick got hired at New England, Diesel, because he was a good coach, or if Stephen Belichick got hired in New England because, oh, by the way, his dad's the head coach and pretty much the general manager.
Well, a little bit of context here. Washington did have a top 30 defense in 2024. They had the 27th best defense in the country, giving up an average of 324.8 yards per game.
Not bad at all.
Yeah, I mean, not bad. I mean, out of 136, top 30, pretty good.
It is pretty good. It's interesting, though, when you look at how this could turn sour, how this could go bad. And again, Tolos, I want to hear from you before we get to the positive. 71307, starting your text with the word fan. How this could go sour in your mind on the stream. Ricky says Gronk as the tight ends coach. I don't know if that's going to happen, but you know what? The world we live in, it wouldn't surprise me.
Who's going to twist an ankle chasing college girls first, Hill or Gronk? That's what I want to know. That's a very good question. JD. Yes, JD, we heard your call. I heard your call on Jim Rome earlier today, going after this nepotism hire, trying to set up his son to be a head coach in waiting. That's a horrible move for North Carolina. And I got your back on whoever that guy was that called in right after you and was bagging on state of South Carolina, bagging on Clemson, saying it's basically East Georgia, bagging on South Carolina's barbecue. You can make fun of Clemson football. That's fine. You can make fun of South Carolina football. There's reasons that you can find in both of those things to crack on those programs, but don't you dare make fun of South Carolina barbecue.
I didn't hear that. Yeah, how dare that caller on the Jim Rome show? They've probably never been to South Carolina in the first place. But also, Diesel, you have to think about this from the longevity standpoint. When Bill Belichick starts to recruit, use the portal, use NIL, when he starts to be informed what the portal and NIL is, there will be a learning gap. I do not know if it's fair to judge Bill Belichick in 2025 because the transfer portal window, I mean, we just talked about it earlier in the week with it being open, NIL, Diesel, you almost have to prep and plan a year in advance. So how old's the guy now?
72.
72.
See, I would this move would make more sense if Bill Belichick was being hired as GM of UNC football.
Yeah,
because that's becoming a trend, right?
It would be.
You got a handful of most SEC programs now have a GM who handles those things. Clemson had just announced that they're adding one in a letter from Graham Neff 2 or 3 weeks ago. So
Alabama has one.
If Bill, who was previously GM of the Patriots, was now stepping in to be GM of the UNC football program, that makes sense to me because now he can say, hey, I'm coming at this from the perspective of I've managed contracts. I've negotiated. I've dealt with this. This is something going to be completely new to Bill.
It's going to be completely new
because when you sign a contract with somebody in the NFL, they're there for whatever the length of the contract is, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. With college, you can just up and leave after a couple of months.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting? He talked about it, it being a pipeline to the NFL. But again, at the end of the day, what does this all come down to? It doesn't matter if your name, Diesel, is Bill Belichick or if your name is Bob Smith. If Bob Smith has a bigger and better NIL collective than Bill Belichick, players are going to go play for Bob Smith. It doesn't matter. And I know that sounds crazy to say, but Bill Belichick's name in college football doesn't matter. 10 years ago, Diesel, before NIL and portal, Belichick's name would have mattered. It would have been a household name where he was able to go do what Nick Saban did and sit in people's living rooms and recruit and build a program. 10, 15 years ago, I think Belichick would have worked great in the NFL. Today, I'm not so sure. We've seen Dabo, we've seen Saban, we've seen coaches admit, Diesel, that adjusting to this new style of college athletics is not for the faint of heart.
So, Cole, let's move her over to the what can he do that would benefit North Carolina, because this, granted, we don't know what the internal structure is of UNC and how they handle NIL and what kind of GM structure they may have, but this could certainly help considerably modernize those structures that North Carolina has. Sure. It also really, really galvanizes and excites a UNC fan base that has money. I mean, come on, they have a medical school, they have a law school, they have all kinds of higher education degrees, and they're pumping out graduates all the time that have money. So this Bill Belichick may be a glorified mascot at this point, right?
Could be.
He's there. Yeah, he's gonna be on the sidelines. Like, did you ever see the movie A League of Their Own?
Yes.
The baseball movie.
Yes, good movie.
Remember at the beginning of the movie when the candy bar king says, "Hey, Tom Hanks, we need you to come out there and wave your little hat in the air, give the fans a thrill." I think that might be really what Bill Belichick is there for. Yeah, he's there to coach games because he's a smart guy. He didn't forget football, but he's really there to excite the fan base and get them to open their checkbooks. And that's we talked about it yesterday. That's one of the things that the UNC fan base, the wine and cheese crowd that UNC is, that's one of those things that excites them. They don't want to build something from scratch. They don't want to find an up-and-coming coach. They want to go buy the immediate success that's going to get people to start spending money with the program again, because let's be real, UNC, even with Mac Brown, even with a national championship winning head coach, and he was one of four active coaches with a national championship, even then, the UNC fan base was like, I'm bored, win his basketball season.
How North Carolina could benefit. In my mind, and again, Tolos, let me know how you think they could benefit, what the bright side, the good side of the coin would be. Diesel, you hire Bill. You let him run the show for 3 to 6 years, right? You get the program to a place that it hasn't been in a very long time. And while doing so, you're trying to find someone that can immediately contribute and continue to build on the success that, let's just pause for a second, the hopeful success, right? Because there's no guarantee that Bill's going to be successful, but the hopeful success that Bill's going to have. I'm not saying that Bill's going to be a stepping stone coach by any means, but if Carolina's goal, Diesel, is to win a championship, this can't be a cute little, a one-off where you go to Stephen Belichick next or you go hire whoever. This is not a long-term hire. Bill needs to be there for 3 to 6 years. In my mind, set a standard, right? Pass the baton, pass the reins to someone who can build upon that, Diesel. He needs to make North Carolina, in my mind, a destination job. I know championships were important, but Bill Belichick's ultimate task, in my mind, is to turn the Tar Heel football program into an ultimate job.
So what does it actually mean to say we're going to become an NFL pipeline? Is that Bill Belichick saying I'm so much smarter than every other coach in college football? My job is not to go find talent and win football games. My job is to put lipstick on these pigs and make sure every single one of my players is desirable to the NFL. I'm not really sure what that means to say we want to be an NFL pipeline. Every coach wants their program to be an NFL pipeline. I mean, what's one of the biggest talking points when it comes to SEC dominance? Oh, we put X number of guys in the league every year. Well, guess what? Every single SEC program is an NFL pipeline. So how are you going to out SEC the SEC, Bill?
These are a couple of things that he did say in this transcript that I have. Bill Belichick disputed the report that he had a 400-page document on how to turn the North Carolina program around. Bill said, I don't know where that came from. I don't have a 400-page document, and to think I just go out and hand it, come on. So he is saying that that was untrue. I'm trying to find if any reporter out there had the gusto to ask him about the nepotism and the potential hiring of his son. Again, he was asked how long he finds himself doing this. He said a long time. He gave the nod to the University of Washington, where his son works. He said he wanted that to be similar to the implementation that he implements in North Carolina. Talked about Saban a lot. And, of course, that name is a name that you're not surprised came up in the presser. But, again, Bill is a man of few words. He's more of a, okay, let me go get to work kind of guy. I totally agree with you, though, before we get to the phones on the NFL pipeline, because when you and I first heard it, that's what we looked at each other and said, well, duh. Every program wants to put players in the NFL. But just like I said yesterday, you've got to have NFL quality players to put players in the NFL. Let's watch and see in April how many Tar Heels go from this year's team into the NFL draft. I don't know that it'll be many.
Yeah, and how many of these guys on this roster are going to be enamored with this? How many people say, you know what, I'd rather stay and learn under Bill Belichick, who's also learning how to be a college football coach? If I'm an elite wide receiver, I don't know who UNC's best wide receiver was this year, running back or whatever, I might be entering the transfer portal. So you know what? I'd rather go learn under Hugh Freeze. I'd rather go learn under Kirby Smart.
Dewey wants to chime in, 844-326-3663. We have coined it our Daily Dewey. What's up, Dewey?
Yes, like I said before, Bill Belichick, he's old, he's washed up, and he needs to sit down somewhere. That's the worst hire in college football history. And the only reason why he's there is so he can go and look at cheerleaders, because he has a little 20-year-old girlfriend, and his son, him and his son both are going to be looking at cheerleaders. That's the worst hire ever. He's going to embarrass the program and embarrass NCAA.
Thanks, Dewey. That's the only reason he took the job, was to look at the
bunch of perverts.
That's all he cares about, right? God. Thanks, Dewey. It's going to be very interesting. Time will tell. Texter says if Belichick doesn't make bowl eligibility, the Stars will transfer after one season, like every other school in the NIL era. And that's another thing to it, Diesel. My last point here. The texter said the word stars. Does Bill Belichick have the star power and the ability to pull stars to North Carolina, much like Deion did in his very first year at Colorado? Immediately, 2 years later, first year they were relevant again. Year two, maybe a Heisman Trophy winner, Diesel, a good football team. I hate to say it, and I'm not a Bill Belichick hater, but I don't know that he has the wherewithal to be able to make an immediate impact, and maybe it's a swagger that he lacks. Maybe it's the age factor, and I know Deion's up there, but he's not, Bill's age. I just don't know that he can replicate what Deion did.
When was the last time you watched Bill walk? It's more of a waddle than it is a swagger. So
it's true.
Yeah, I mean, hey, money will talk, right? And like I brought up before, this may be a money move that gets the donors psyched up. They're still not going to have SEC kind of money. They're still not going to have Crimson Tide Trust, whatever they call it. They're not going to have that kind of money where they can really write a check for whoever it is they want. That's going to take some time. And could it be a one and done year where North Carolina does really revamp its NIL procedures and the amount of money that they have in there? And if you're not winning, that goes away. That people say, you know what, I'm not going to keep contributing $500,000 to this if we're not getting more wins. So it's going to be interesting and fascinating to watch, Cole. When we come back on the other side of the break, would you rather have Tennessee, Clemson, or Indiana's path to get to the national championship game in the CFP? You can't have Penn State's path. So of the other three lowest seeded in their quadrant of the bracket, Whose path would you rather have? That's coming up next. Tolos next Wednesday. We're going to be back out on the road at Ingles Markets in Powdersville. Would love to see you swing by and come and check us out. Take home one of those sweet Fan Upstate fitted hats. If you haven't seen one of those, I know Cole wears one quite a bit. I have one. Some of you Tolos have come by. I think Corn Chip has one. Now's your chance, or next Wednesday is your chance. Come see us at Ingles in Powdersville.
Or you can get an extra small t-shirt. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry.
Anybody need a razor blade?
Let me quit. I'm sorry.
It's Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. Cole, it feels like we're in a little bit of a no man's land talking about the college football playoffs, right?
It does.
But because we still have another week and a couple of days before these games get played. It's kind of odd having this odd week with just the Army-Navy game.
I don't like it, just by the way.
Right? I know. It feels like, come on, let's get to it, right? And look, I know that Dan B really cares about the Army-Navy game. A couple of you have some minor rooting interest in that game, but for most people, the Army-Navy game isn't must-watch TV. I mean, maybe I'm wrong here.
For me, what happens what's the word? What happens before the game, to me,
the pageantry.
The pageantry,
yeah.
Yes, thank you, is worth watching more than the game because of the Army-Navy game and the aspect of it being those seniors' last football game ever before they go serve for the country. So the pageantry is awesome, but just maybe this year with Army and Navy being good, maybe the script will change a little bit.
I do wonder where Army's going to finish. Navy was there for the longest time. Obviously, then they fell off. We were, hoping that we were going to see an undefeated clash in this, and Army. Kelly said it yesterday. Army might be the most disrespected team in college football by only finishing the season where they did and not much higher, and saying they had almost a case to jump Clemson as the conference champion. Could you imagine that, Cole? If the ACC was left out completely and Army was deemed the highest rated, the fifth highest rated conference champion, that would be fascinating.
Well,
Clemson fans would lose their minds.
They would, but one could argue that Army was more. I'm just saying, if Clemson were to have lost the ACC championship, they would have no important wins, no big wins. Army, a one-loss team to Notre Dame. The argument would have been there, Diesel. And again, SMU didn't have any big wins.
Kelly made that argument yesterday. He doesn't even have Army inside of his top 30 as far as power-rated teams. He's got Army all the way down at 45th. So could you imagine a world? So as much as we've had Gamecock fans losing their minds and Madcraft's been losing his mind, I mean, I guarantee you he sits down on his toilet writing out some manifesto on what he's going to say when he calls and texts into our show. Could you imagine if the 45th power ranked team jumped Clemson for the college football playoff? Man, what a wild time that would be. Texter says, I got a fan hat and a Planet shirt. I'll be Odyssey's walking billboard one day. Thank you, Corn Chip. Just wait till we come out with those B93.7 underwear. And you can get yourself some of those.
There you go.
Man, we're excited to see that. But Cole, there's four quadrants of this bracket, depending on how the person who designs the graphic puts this thing together. But there are four quadrants of the graphic, and it probably goes without saying that if you could have anybody's road to the championship, you would rather have Penn State's road to the championship, right? Like you've got a G5 team and a team that's in their first year in the ACC 100%. In your quadrant. But I'm going to take that option off the table.
Oh, man.
You can't have Penn State's quadrant. You can't have their road to the championship game.
So you can't even use the other side of it. You can't even use SMU's. The quadrant's gone. Okay.
Quadrant's gone.
Okay, that makes sense.
Because then you could say, well, we'd rather be SMU because we think
that was going to be my answer.
and then we'll still have Boise State after that, Cole.
Right.
But let's go with you are the lowest seeded team in your quadrant of those three teams, Tennessee, Clemson, Indiana. Which path would you choose? Which gauntlet would you rather run? And it feels like, when you're watching those medieval movies and there's some sort of Rube Goldberg gauntlet with swinging buckets of tar and saw blades kind of swinging back and forth, you've got to traverse that. Which one of those would you rather choose to get yourself into the national championship game.
I thought you were going to say the paint bucket swinging in Home Alone, traversing
Oh,
that.
that's true too.
You know what?
He
Little
didn't-
Christmas
that
flavor.
Would have been in Home Alone 5. Because they did make what 3 more without Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah,
and
they
it was
were
just
bad.
It was
They're bad.
bad. I mean, they
So
could have used Macaulay Culkin. He still looks 12 years old.
we can use the process of elimination to find the answer.
Yep.
And Diesel, if you're asking me what you did, I would eliminate obviously the SMU Penn State because you scratched that one.
Can't have
the
it.
next one, Tennessee, Ohio State, Oregon. That quadrant gone, eliminated.
You don't want that
I
one.
want no part of that bracket.
But if you come out of that one, Cole, you're probably the best team.
Yeah,
in
and you
the
got
country.
6 players healthy. I mean, I don't know. Yeah,
I mean, you can get
battle tested.
You can get injured against Marshall and the Citadel just like you can against Ohio
It's
State.
true. It's true. So I'm going to eliminate the top left quadrant in terms of looking for the best path. I'll tell you, this might surprise you, but I think it'd be Clemson's path.
Texas and Arizona State.
I do.
With, if all things go scratch, you've got Oregon waiting in the semis.
I think that would be the path. I know one might argue, Diesel, the Indiana path of Notre Dame, then Georgia, but I don't want really any part of Kirby Smart.
See that? I know that Kirby doesn't lose big games very often, but Georgia has looked very beatable the last couple of weeks. They didn't look great against Texas. The first half was awful.
It was awful, terrible.
I mean, call it a defensive struggle if you want to. That's
I think
just
if
another
Beck
word
stays
for boring.
in, they probably lose.
Probably right.
Gunnar Stockton was
Yeah.
better.
So but Carson Beck is listed as questionable. I'm sure they did that to not hurt the gambling and
he's
to potentially, they didn't know what the playoff committee might do. Now you're a conference champion.
That's right.
You weren't going to get dropped out of that top 4, but you never know what kind of weird stuff the committee might do. And they say, well, guess what? There's no such thing as precedent here. We can take you out if we want to.
It's interesting. JD, by the way, says, see, I'd call it the Texas path. JD, the name of the game is the highest or the lowest seeds path. So he asked the question about the lowest seeds path, which would be the Clemson path.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of the game.
Clemson path, the lowest seed in that quadrant, is you've got to go beat Texas on the road. Then you got to beat Arizona State in a neutral site game. And then you've got Oregon waiting for you in the semifinals. If you're Tennessee, you'd have to beat Ohio State and Oregon. And then likely you're going to have Texas waiting for you in the semis.
Yeah, I just feel like Texas and Arizona State, from a Clemson standpoint, Diesel, I feel like if you can get past Texas, you feel like from a team standpoint, you can beat and hang with anybody. I'm not going to on record say Texas is vulnerable. However, I will say I think they're beatable. Matt, about everything on the stream, says, I know you disagree with me, but I think Clemson will beat Texas. He also agrees that that's the best route. Look.
So, Madcraft, while you're at it, tell us why. Why do you think Clemson beats Texas?
ACC. There's your answer, right?
Oh, so it's the bias.
I'm just
It's
saying. Look, here's the deal. If you're a team like Clemson and you're looking for that best possible route, you look at Texas as a team that's very, very good. But I do think there are areas that you can watch on film and see where you can highlight, you can circle and say, you know what, we can move the ball against these guys. However, just like I said, I think there's areas you can move the ball, Diesel. The bad part is I don't know if Clemson can. I don't know if you can run. I think you can run the ball on Texas effectively, and I believe that will open up the pass. I know they have a very good passing defense. The problem for Clemson in that matchup is what we've already talked about, their lack of running backs. I think you and I got an email earlier today asking if we could put on a helmet and run and be a running back for Clemson in this game because that's how desperate they are right now.
Can you squeeze your head in that thing over there?
No, I cannot.
I don't even know if you could squeeze your fist in that thing.
I can't squeeze my head into a normal-sized helmet because I have such a big head. But I do feel like if you can get past Texas, Arizona State, granted, they had a good win against Iowa State. They obliterated them, Diesel. However, if you look at the total body of work, I'm not impressed with Arizona State's total body of work, including their 2 losses.
Well, and this is, do you want to have your difficult games up front, and possibly get eliminated early.
Ooh, that's a good question.
And then face an easier slate down the road, because that's kind of the boat that Indiana finds themselves in. Look, Notre Dame is playing as good a football as anybody right now. I don't trust them, but they're playing great football. I don't trust them once you get into the playoff, because Notre Dame always gets blown out in the playoff. But they're playing really good football right now. You get past Notre Dame, you've got a vulnerable Georgia, potentially playing a backup quarterback. I mean, if Quinn is, or it's not Quinn, if Carson Beck is healthy enough, if he's at 75, 80%, they're going to trot him out there for a little bit. Maybe it doesn't work out. Maybe they take him out in the first half. But maybe you can get up on Georgia early and hang on for dear life. That's a tough task to ask anybody to do.
I don't think Carson Beck will see the field the rest of the year.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Then you'd have Boise State waiting for you. And in theory, if you get past your difficult opponents first, you can kind of rest up against Boise State before going into the finals.
You can, and to answer the question that was originated, Diesel, I chose the Clemson route. However, if I wanted to play devil's advocate, I could say that other than Georgia, there's nobody that really scares me. So, like, if I were to play devil's advocate and pick Indiana, who's the 10 against the 7 Notre Dame, you could look at that not just quadrant, but the entire right side of the bracket. And you could see Notre Dame, you could see Georgia, Boise, SMU, and Penn State, and you could tell yourself, guys, there's one team in here that we're really you wouldn't say this, but there's one team there that scares you. Kirby Smart scares you. Other than that, I just don't know if Notre Dame puts the fear of God into people. They're a good team. They're a good defense, but maybe I'm talking myself out of my original answer and now leaning toward Indiana, because, Diesel, at the end of the day, even though Arizona State may be an easier game, I don't want any part of Oregon. I don't want any part of Dylan Gabriel. So maybe here I am talking myself into taking Indiana's possible road to the college football playoff championship.
You know what I love about the way this season has shook out is preseason. If I asked you to guess 12 teams that would be in the college football playoff, you'd probably say about 5 of these. You'd say Oregon, Ohio State, Texas, Notre Dame, and Georgia. Outside of that, you got 7 teams. That's kind of chaos, right? I mean, you could make a case for Tennessee. You could make a case for Penn State, but you may also say, well, Penn State kind of loses big games. They're going to drop 1 or 2 over the course of the season, and they're not really going to be in this thing late. You'd probably have said Clemson's falling off as a program, so you might introduce some fresh blood in here. You might introduce Miami. Sorry, Madcraft. I don't mean to put salt in the wound, but you'd be hard pressed, Cole, to find anybody who had more than about 8 at most of these 12 teams in the playoffs. Certainly not Arizona State. And how could anybody hate the playoff, as wild and crazy as it's been? How can you have such a big problem with it when what people were tired of in the first place was that the 4-team playoff was too predictable? The same teams were getting in every year. Certainly you're going to get new teams in when you expand this thing, but there's some head scratchers. Nobody was calling for SMU to get in the playoff. Compete for the ACC, maybe, but to make the playoff, not a chance. They weren't calling for that one. You weren't calling for Arizona State to be in this thing. You weren't calling for Boise State to be in this thing. I love the chaos that we've had, and that's why it grinds my gears every time people like you, Cole, say we got to fix this playoff. We got to change it. We got to change it so this can't happen again. We need those brands in there, those brands that everybody knows.
No, I don't want the brands. I just want the best teams. I want South Carolina in. I am trying my best, and I'll do this at some point. If I can get lucky enough to find it, we'll come back to this at some point in the show. But I am trying to track down, Diesel, our playoff predictions preseason. I thought I had them here on this document from July the 12th. However, I don't. So, again, that's one thing I do want to track down, because you and I have not looked and see and tried to find out how we did in terms of – we did predictions. I know we did. And maybe it was one day you were out. I know I did them, but I just can't remember when it was. So we're trying to – I'm thinking somewhere July. So that'll be fun to see how good we did in terms of projecting the 12 teams that made it. maybe it's better off that we don't, because maybe we look like a bunch of idiots, but I will try to say that.
Hey, I'm really good at that, by the way.
Texter says, calling it now, Boise State wins the Natty. I don't know about that. Texter from the 419, Bex.
If Boise State wins this whole thing, they're definitely going to change the structure.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
No way.
Be an SEC invitation.
You can't let a G5 in there. They're going to win the whole thing.
419 says, Beck's backup led the team to a win against Texas at neutral site. Why rush Beck back in if he isn't healthy? And again, I do think, Texter, to your point, I do think that Beck's probably sidelined.
Remember, DJU came in for the Notre Dame game, looked great, sucked otherwise.
Yeah.
Cade Klubnik came in the ACC championship game, looked great, struggled the following season. Look, just because you come in and you have a good half doesn't mean you're the better quarterback on the roster.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. I do think Gunnar Stockton has what it takes.
He's very good.
Very good. Obviously, Georgia's going to have guys, right? They've got dudes all over the field, 5 stars everywhere, it seems like. However, it'll be interesting to see, though, just how this one does play out in terms of the quadrant. I don't know. I think I talked myself into the Indiana quadrant as I originally picked Clemson, but I think I talked myself into.
I like changing your mind, Cole.
Yeah, changing it literally mid show. Diesel, when we come back, last night the SEC came out, released the 2025 schedules. We'll take a peek at South Carolina's 2025 football schedule. Gamecock fans, how do you feel? That's the question we'll ask next. I did find my core 4 predictions. I haven't found the rest of them yet, but I had Utah, Diesel, which turned out to be wrong. I had Ohio State winning their conference, turned out to be wrong. I did have Clemson winning the ACC and Georgia winning the SEC, so I went 2 of 4. But I don't know who else I had in, so I'll have to go back.
Man, if only we could cue up that Lane Kiffin rip on Paul Feinbaum.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Yeah,
you were wrong about Miley Cyrus too.
That's true. South Carolina Diesel now knows who they will play, when they will play them in 2025 in conference. There were last night the entire slate of SEC games were released. It's obviously a talking point in the part of the country we live, but when you talk about the South Carolina Gamecocks football schedule and what the SEC announced last night, we pretty much knew what this would look like. However, as we dive into it, Diesel, was there anything that you saw that surprised you when it comes to South Carolina and their schedule? Obviously, they're opening the season against Virginia Tech in Atlanta. That'll be very interesting. But for the most part, there were no big surprises. And for the Gamecocks, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it would be interesting to do kind of a way too early prediction on the 2025 season. The SEC slate is going to be crazy difficult no matter what, right? So it's not like that's changing tremendously for South Carolina. Where did they end up in the strength of schedule over the course of the season? Have we looked up their recent strength of schedule?
According to Gamecock fans, it's always number 1.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it always is number 1. I'm trying to find this graphic here, Cole, so I can get a good look at these.
While you do that, South Carolina in conference will start with Vandy at home, at Missouri, Kentucky at home. They will go to LSU, Oklahoma at home, another one at home the very next week, Alabama. They'll go to Ole Miss the following week, to Texas A&M the following week. They'll have a out-of-conference game against Coastal on the 22nd of November, and then obviously out-of-conference against Clemson. So their out-of-conference are Virginia Tech, South Carolina State, Coastal, and Clemson. Those are the 4 out-of-conference games for the Gamecocks.
I got no reason to believe that South Carolina can't go 4-0 and out of conference.
They can.
Again, Virginia Tech's going to be a decent game to get started, and you never know with a new signal caller, but you have Lenora Sellers, and you still got this fantastic defensive line. You still got, you can make improvements on that in the transfer portal in the offseason. I think South Carolina is going to beat Virginia Tech, probably handily. They're going to certainly beat South Carolina State. Week 3, there's no Diego Pavia in Nashville anymore. So you're going to beat Vanderbilt. Missouri, you just beat them this year. You're going on the road. I'd say I'd give that a 60-40 chance South Carolina wins that game. So I'm going to give you that game also. Close game. Kentucky at home. That's a win. You're probably starting the season 5-0.
Good.
And think about that. South Carolina starting the 2025 season 5-0. You're certainly inside the top 25 because now you're getting a little bit of that benefit of the doubt, right?
Yeah.
The Rolling Stone has gathered some moss. You're starting that season off hot. And, by that point, by the time you get to the bye, October 4th, South Carolina, in my mind, is sitting easily inside the top 20, possibly top 15, depending on how those games go with Vandy, Missouri, and Kentucky. And then, obviously, that's when things get real.
Yeah.
You got LSU on the road, pre-penciling that one in as a loss. Oklahoma at home. I think you're going to win that game. Alabama on the at home. That's a 50-50 toss-up right now for me. I mean, there's a good chance you're starting the season 7-1.
What's interesting about the schedule is you'll have, unlike this year, you will have a common opponent after October the 11th between you and Clemson to look at to see just how good you stacked up against LSU as Clemson opens the 2025 season hosting LSU. So that's an interesting aspect. I do agree with you. I think they have a very good chance to run the table again in their out-of-conference schedule. It's still, for me, a learning curve to not see them play in Georgia, right? There's no Georgia on this schedule, and life in the SEC East, obviously you saw Tennessee every year. You saw Georgia every year. Guess what? 2025, where's Georgia? Not on the schedule. What about Tennessee? Not on the schedule. So while South Carolina fans are going to complain about, oh, we got the toughest schedule again, yeah, it's the SEC. Welcome. Yeah, you've only been in the conference for 500 years. You don't play Georgia. You don't play Tennessee.
You dodge one bullet to maybe catch another.
You do. And look, the reality is, I know you wouldn't have said this 5 years ago, but the reality is you'd rather play Alabama than Georgia. I don't want to hear it. You'd rather play Bama than Georgia, even though that sounds absolutely ludicrous to say. It's the reality right now.
Yeah, think about this, Cole. We've been wondering when that pendulum swing of the power of the SEC coming back east was going to be. It looks like we're there right now. I mean, you look at the playoff, 2 out of the 3 SEC teams are from the eastern side of the conference, the former East Division of the SEC. Fascinating stuff there. When we come back, Cole, let's stay right there with the SEC. Just how many of the top 10 most watched programs in college football in 2024 were from the Southeastern Conference? I'll tell you next. Well, Cole, the numbers are in. The SEC, pretty damn watchable.
Ooh.
The SEC holds 8 of the top 10 most watched programs in college football in 2024. I mean, utter domination, right? I don't see how other conference commissioners are looking at this and saying we don't have a serious problem on our hands, because nobody's watching Big Ten football outside of Ohio State and Michigan. Nobody's watching ACC football. Nobody's watching the Big 12. Cole, this is absurd. Just how much of a stranglehold the SEC has on these numbers. 8 of the top 10s, wire to wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. Cole, the number 1 most watched team in college football this year. Take a wild guess who it is.
The most watched team,
total. Georgia, number 1. Number 2, Ohio State. Georgia, by the way, 8.6 million combined viewers on Georgia games this year. And then you got a pretty substantial drop-off to Ohio State at number 2 with 6.8 million. Alabama third, 6.6 million. Texas number 4 at 6.4 million. Tennessee number 5. Michigan 6. Texas A&M 7. LSU 8. Kentucky number 9. Did Kentucky play in some huge game that I don't remember? Like, how is it that Kentucky?
There's nothing else to do in Kentucky. You just you have to sit there and watch Kentucky football. I guess.
I mean, no disrespect to the Eastern Kentucky Colonels fans.
Yeah,
but I guess they're also watching UK football. I mean, it would make more sense if people in Kentucky were watching Louisville, because that wasn't actually a good football team.
You know, it's interesting, and I'm glad you brought this article up, because the most watched teams is fascinating, because you do compare Diesel like conference to conference. However, have you seen the ratings for the conference championship games?
I have not.
Oh boy, it wasn't even close.
Not even close.
You want to guess who won?
I'm going to say the Sun Belt.
Because
that Marshall, Louisiana game.
We have a winner.
Hot button item. You couldn't go to the stadium because it was half torn down, so you had to watch it on TV.
So the SEC drew 16.6 million viewers for the Georgia-Texas matchup.
Big money.
Below that was obviously Big 10, then Big 12, then ACC. Diesel 10.4 for the Big 10, 6.9 for the Big 12, and for the ACC championship, 5.9. The 16 is a big, big difference. The SEC just totally obliterated conference championship weekend.
Number 10, by the way, the Florida Gators, who had a bad season. And this is the head scratcher for me. Kentucky and Florida inside the top 10. Like, where was South Carolina? Nobody's watching. I guess nobody's watching South Carolina, at least not in a top 10 in the country kind of clip. Nobody's watching Clemson.
Sure.
Nobody's watching Penn State. Penn State not inside the top 10. That blows me away, which tells me, Cole, somebody at the ACC better get fired. How in the hell does Jim Phillips still have a job when he's taking haymakers, not like what we saw in the Tyson Paul fight, because those were all fake. Those were all pulled. But he's taking haymakers left and right. His bell cows, one of whom fell apart this season, sued him. Their revenue is so far behind you can't even see the SEC. They're up there in the penthouse suite. You're down there on ground level.
Yeah.
Like, how does this guy still have a job? And maybe, Cole, maybe that's what North Carolina thought they were doing when they hired Bill Belichick, because we need to hire a splash hire that everyone's going to pay attention to,
right? At
least for a couple of weeks, right? I mean, who does North Carolina start with next year? That could be a highly viewed football game.
Sure.
But outside of that, what do you tune? Oh, it's TCU. Why'd you mess up and hire
UNC TCU?
Yeah.
Great. I don't know if that really moves the meter, does it?
Millions upon millions are going to tune in for that one.
I don't know if that really moves the meter. I'll tell you, I try not to like judge everything off of TV ratings. However, like when you're having the comparison of who cares more about which conference, it's hard to argue SEC dominance just across the board when you look at those ratings. And Georgia, I mean, being the most watched team in 2024 with, what'd you say, 8.6 million viewers. Was that on average or is that total?
I don't know. It doesn't necessarily
I think it's average.
say.
I'm pretty sure that's average viewership. And that's a ton, man. And you got to think, like, Ohio State, 6.8 for Ohio State's an incredibly large amount. And to think that Ohio State got them by 2 million is just dumbfounding.
Yeah.
That Georgia got them by 2 million. Ohio State's a huge fan base, one of the biggest in the country. I was surprised though. Where's Notre Dame in that top 10, Diesel?
Not there.
But I thought they had their own TV network, right? I thought Notre Dame wasn't joining a conference because their TV network was so lucrative. I guess financially it is.
I can't watch them because I've got to get my in-laws streaming login password every time I want to watch Notre Dame.
Well, you don't have to. Just don't watch them, right? And that's the solution.
Here's the thing, Cole, and I would love to know because I know we got a lot of SEC Tolos in the audience, a lot of Gamecock fans, a lot of Georgia Bulldog fans. You all watch each other's games, right? Like in the ACC, if you're a North Carolina fan, unless you're playing Wake Forest, you're not tuning in to watch a Wake game. You're tuning in to watch the SEC game afterwards. Like you're not tuning in to watch BC versus Syracuse. You're tuning in to watch, Georgia LSU in the nightcap.
It's funny that 8 of those 10 were from the SEC as well. I mean, and you might have said that already. It's just complete, utter dominance when you talk about that top 10. I don't know if anything will ever sway those numbers. Like you could see Michigan rise. I think you could see Ohio State rise or fall.
Yeah.
But, man, it's just when you talk about the SEC power that they have in TV ratings, I don't know that it's ever going to change in the near future.
Yeah, the only reason Kentucky's in that list is because of the list of teams that they played this year. They played Georgia. They played at Ole Miss, where they got a win, by the way. Mm-hmm. They played Florida. They played Tennessee. They played Texas. Tennessee was inside the top 5. So they played the number 1 – gosh, it's graphic. Every time I click off a page and come back. They played the number 1, number 4, number 5, and number 10 most viewed game. So it's sort of an incestuous number, right? Sure. Like if you're playing the teams that get most views, you're also going to get credit for the most number of views, even though you're not the reason people tuned in to watch that game. So you got to take it with a little bit of a grain of salt, Cole. But man, this is just another example of SEC dominance where they kind of gobble up every bit of preseason rankings. Okay, you get ranked wins because they were preseason ranked, because that's what the committee does, or that's what the AP does. You get the most viewership because everybody's tuning in to watch these games. Look, I think there's a big time problem that Jim Phillips has on his hands. He's got to convince fans. He's got to convince Clemson fans that you need to tune in and watch North Carolina football. He's got to convince you that, outside of this year where Florida State fell apart, I think Clemson fans are probably tuning in to watch Florida State to see what it is they're going to do.
Sure.
Some weeks, not every week. That's the big difference.
It is a big difference. Here's what's interesting. A question that I asked Diesel about the future of these ratings and where this could go. Would the super conference that possibly could form, would the forming of the super conference change the dominance of these? Because right now it's, again, 8 of the 10 are in the SEC. I just find it I find myself curious as to if we were to get a super conference, which I would expect us to do. I think that's coming. I wonder if those most watched and the SEC and the teams that lead the pack now would still be the leaders of the pack in that super conference.
Yeah, I'm sure they would. I mean, I can't see outside of the top 10, and there's a good chance Vanderbilt's probably not far away because they played a good schedule and they were winning games. So I would not be shocked if Vanderbilt was sitting inside the top 20, if not at least inside the top 15, because people were tuning in to watch them.
Yeah.
And like I said, by virtue of just the schedule that they played, yeah, I mean, if it's the 40 best teams, or if you do 2 20-team super conferences like the South and the North, you can't do East and West because there's not enough good teams out West. So you'd have to do Southern United States, Northern United States. certainly you'd see some teams show up in there just by virtue of who they've got on their schedule, Cole. But I mean, like I said, the problem is the ACC is far too small and regional with their branding. Boston College, Syracuse, Wake Forest, Virginia, Pitt, arguably Louisville and Virginia Tech are regional brands at this point. Virginia Tech was like right there. They were a national brand for a minute when they had Michael Vick.
Sure.
And then they fell off. They couldn't keep it going. They just kept rotating through head coaches after Frank Beamer left. So, I mean, I don't see a way out of this.
No, I don't
for
either.
The ACC. There's no way to recover from this.
Texter says Notre Dame hate is overrated. Another texter from the 262 says, obviously I'm a Notre Dame fan, but NBC's coverage of Notre Dame games sucks. They have the worst broadcasting crew, but go Irish anyway.
But
comes from Leprechaun Alignment.
But you're on a 4-letter network or a 3-letter network. Yeah. You know, you're on one of the biggest.
He's right. The commentary sucks.
You're on one of the biggest. I mean, I think it's because Saturday college football, people think I'm just going to ESPN, and you're not on ESPN. And it is what it is.
And who is that? Is that Jason Garrett? I mean, yeah, he's right. Reggie's, Dan Hicks, I'm not a fan. I couldn't watch it. I think Leprechaun Alignment, I think I agree with you. Texter says nearly every TV at the fancy tailgate parties at Clemson were tuned into an SEC game outside the stadium last time I was there. SEC just have the best games. True. Texter says ACC should do something to break up the norm, like only play Power 4 teams in conference. And again, going back to the last text, it's true, though. Like he's
well, they do only play Power 4 teams in conference.
Yeah, I don't know what I don't
know. You mean out of conference, I think.
Yeah, he said non-conference.
Oh, I thought you said in conference.
No, non-conference. Diesel, the thing about it is going back to the tailgate, the texter from the 419 is exactly right. I mean, you don't walk through a tailgate, and I went to several of them this year, especially at Carolina with friends of mine. You don't walk through the tailgate in yards or lots, Diesel, and see Boston College and Virginia. You don't see, Miami. Sorry, mad about everything. You don't see Miami versus Virginia Tech. Those just it doesn't move the meter. And for all the people out there who say, well, the SEC, I hate this SEC bias. Well, the proof's in the pudding here. I mean, they're the most watched conference. They're the best conference. And if you don't like it, beat them.
I mean, it goes back to John Swofford, and then it goes back to Jim Phillips and the teams that you invited.
Yeah.
You invited schools that you thought had potential to be good at basketball and maybe find some football success, but you didn't have a thought in your head when it comes to rivalries. In the SEC, basically every week is a rivalry week.
Sure.
If you're Florida, you have a rivalry with Georgia, with South Carolina, with Tennessee, with LSU. You've got minimum 4 rivalry games every year. And even the games outside of your rivalry games are big games because A&M's coming to town or Texas is coming to town. So you've got 5 or 6 extremely watchable games over the course of the season. Whereas even if you're Florida State or Clemson, the bell cows of the ACC, you've got max 2. And then one more is coming from an out-of-conference opponent, which is an SEC team.
It's true. And by the way, quick scoring update for you high school football fans. I know there's a lot of talk in the chat about it. Clinton in the 2A state championship all over Barnwell, Diesel, 35-6. That's what that says, right? The TV's cutting mine.
That's ugly.
35-6.
35-6.
Big town of Clinton, and I know we do have listeners in Clinton. The big town of Clinton bringing home, or 6 minutes away from bringing home a state championship. So congratulations to the Red Devils if they do hold on. Corey Fountain has done a tremendous job at Clinton.
And Cole, if you're the ACC, you can't fix it because you can't kick any of those small brands out. You can't kick Boston College or Wake Forest or Virginia or Pitt or Syracuse. You can't kick them out of the conference.
No.
And you can't pay them. Like, the best thing you could do for them is to throw them a whole boatload of cash.
Yeah.
So that they could go out and hire the best coaches and use it for NIL and whatever. But the problem is you don't have that cash.
Yeah.
Right? You got Clemson and Florida State who want the most money because they're bringing in the revenue. They deserve the money, but it's Boston College who needs it.
It is.
It's Wake Forest that needs it so they can get somebody better than this sad sack Dave Clawson.
We had a interesting conversation a few minutes ago about the trajectory and like where these watchability TV ratings will go. Here's a fun one. I looked up the year 2000, 24 years ago. Do you know who the number one most watched team on television? Now, Diesel, we're talking 24 years ago. TV was a lot different 24 years ago than it is now.
The Jefferson Pilot days.
Streaming wasn't a thing, right? It's completely changed in 24 years. Do you want to take a crack at it? Who the number one most watched team in the 2021 Division I football season was?
2021.
It's tough. It's hard to guess this one.
2001. I'm gonna guess and say that it was LSU.
Nebraska.
The thought came into my head, but I was like, was Nebraska still good in 2001?
Isn't that crazy?
Was that like the tail end of their major success?
I mean, it must have been. It's crazy to look back and see.
Wow. Was that the year Nebraska-Miami played for the national championship?
It might have been.
I could be wrong about that.
It might have been. It's just crazy to see how streaming and everything's changed. That was 2001 or 2002 Rose Bowl, I believe. Yeah, I think I found that right. 2002 Rose Bowl, BCS National Championship, Miami, Nebraska. Yeah, that's it. 37-14 in favor of Madcraft, your Hurricanes.
And Dan B's Nebraska Cornhuskers.
That's right.
Texter says the ACC raided the Big East because they thought they could get Miami and Florida State in the championship game every year, and it blew up in their faces. Well, you're not wrong there, Texter. They brought in Miami because they thought they would still be the U forever, and they went dark for a long time. They thought Virginia Tech would be that next juggernaut waiting to happen, and it didn't happen. I mean, if there's ever a case to be made for suing some teams out of your conference, this would be it, because they had the opportunities to bring in like West Virginia. And West Virginia, I'm not saying there's some juggernauts, but they're a bigger football brand than Boston College.
Yeah. Imagine in 2024, us talking about those teams.
Yeah.
Nebraska's, the West. It's mind boggling. I don't think it'll ever go back. I think it'll always favor the SEC.
You might have a year where those teams make the playoff and maybe win a game or two, but it's hard to say. I mean, as I was talking about the cyclical nature of the SEC East and West, which that doesn't exist anymore, but it's hard to find in your mind the idea that the SEC will lose and the pendulum will swing back to the Big Ten or someone else.
Or the ACC, and Florida State's not good. Miami, they've had a one-hit wonder. What's fascinating, though, I think it shows the depth in the conference. I mean, people are watching, Arkansas and whoever, people are watching these games.
Arkansas, Mississippi State is infinitely more watchable than NC State, Wake Forest.
It is. It really is. It's interesting, though. All right, on the other side, we will be joined by one of our favorite guests, home team Brandon Leak, 680 The Fan in Atlanta. Speaking of Georgia, we'll talk Georgia. We'll talk little Atlanta Falcons, maybe even some Braves after the Max Fried news. Brandon Leak joins us right here on Wire to Wire next. Good friend of the show, home team Brandon Leak from 680 The Fan in Atlanta. Always a pleasure having Brandon on these airwaves to talk Georgia Bulldogs, to talk Atlanta Falcons, to talk Atlanta Braves. And even though it's December, Brandon, I'm going to ask you an Atlanta Brave question with the recent news of Max Fried becoming a New York Yankee. How are Braves fans down there in Georgia taking that one?
Well, everybody, Cole, is still waiting for the move that Alex Anthopoulos, we call him Double A here in town, is going to make. A lot of big names are off the board, including Max Fried, who is now a Yankee. Imagine if you're a Yankee fan. Garrett Cole is number one, and Max Fried is number two. And so trying to figure out what this pitching staff and what the team is going to look like. Because when you're talking about change has come to the Atlanta Braves. They are not the team starting this year that they were last year.
We got Brandon Leak from 680 The Fan in Atlanta on with us, wire to wire, with Diesel and Cole Bryson. Brandon, I know there's been a lot of push among Braves fans hoping that Alex Anthopoulos would sort of change his modus operandi, which is go after some more big names, be more aggressive in free agency, and throw some more money around out there. It's not how they built the Atlanta Braves. Is there any minutia behind that potentially happening in the future, or is he just hoping that he can find that diamond in the rough talent, young guy that he can put on a long-term deal and save some money on?
The Braves just don't spend big money on free agents. And when I say big money, they get good deals and good money, but they don't spend big money on free agents. And we've seen so many guys, some good, some bad, when you look at their contracts now. But Freddie Freeman is gone, and they didn't want to pay him. And now Max Fried is gone, and they didn't want to pay him. So you have a situation where he believes that this is a formidable team. You had a lot of injuries last year, and you're hopeful that the injured would come back ready to go this year. The biggie, Ronald Acuna Jr. Also, you're looking at a guy who has come back off of his second ACL. When will he be able to play and help you out throughout the course of the season?
Brandon, it's interesting, and hopefully he will hit on some of those as the Braves, you're right, they're not the same team. But a team that's also not the same team now that the jury's out on a little bit because of Carson Beck's injury. Gunnar Stockton came in for Georgia and played phenomenal against Texas in the SEC championship. But in your mind, is that something that we will see, going forward in the postseason, that level of play, or hopefully not the case? But what do you think that was lightning in a bottle?
Well, everything changes now. The best thing for the Bulldogs, they got themselves a bye. They got themselves a home game after the first round of playoffs. And Mike Bobo will have time to craft an offense around his new quarterback. No matter what you think about Carson Beck, you knew what you had, even though it wasn't dynamic at certain stretches of the season. But now you have a guy who's a little bit more mobile and more willing to go mobile, and you have to wonder if that will be part of the game plan moving forward, or will they just play Kirby ball, which is try to run the football, try to score some points early, and then throw the defense out on you, which nobody seems to have an answer to, because if they get to 28, it's hard for you to score more than that against a Kirby Smart defense.
Brandon, we can hear a little bit of a crack in your voice a little bit, and we appreciate you coming on with us, even if you're feeling a little bit under the weather today. I just popped in a throat lozenge for you, and hopefully it'll send some good vibes down your way and help you get through these next 10 minutes or so. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, Georgia had lost that SEC championship game to Texas. What would your reaction have been if Georgia was treated the same way Florida State had been the previous year, with a quarterback going down? I understand that they've got so many weapons on that roster that one guy going down doesn't necessarily tank the entire team. But in your mind, how far might they have dropped, or should they have been dropped, if they had lost that game and Carson Beck was out?
Well, it's an interesting question, because it is similar, but a little dissimilar in that, one, you look at their strength of schedule. They played a lot of tough games on the road, at Ole Miss, at Alabama, at Texas. To have to face Texas twice in order to be SEC champions, I think that would be something. And especially if you had lost it on the final drive of the game or in overtime. Now you're talking about a situation where if you believe in good losses, that would have been a good loss. And I don't know if the South Carolinas or the Alabamas or the Miamis, the teams that were just on the edge, would have enough to say, well, they don't belong, even though you have seen a team really get railroaded like Florida State the year before. When you look at the schedule that the Georgia Bulldogs played, they still would have been worthy, I think, to be one of the teams going to the playoff.
You know, it's something you mentioned that's very interesting to me, Brandon, with Kirby Smart, his MO being defense and running the football, and then whoever's at quarterback, they can throw, 15, 20 times and be serviceable enough to win the game. That might have to be the game plan. But I also think back to many of the Nick Saban-led teams, Alabama, very similar, right? Good defense, ran the ball, and try to name two quarterbacks off of their national championship teams. You couldn't do it. I just wonder, though, from your standpoint, being there covering the team, do you hear some of the stuff I hear about why Georgia don't go after some of these more athletic quarterbacks who can be game changers?
Well, it is a topic of conversation, but it's two sides of the story. Yeah, you start looking at all the 5 stars and the guys that are gunslingers and the guys sitting down for the Heisman, and they don't come to Georgia. It is a conversation. Now, Stetson Bennett did get a chance to sit down for the Heisman based on his season, his last year of play, but just a 5-star quarterback coming in and being one of those slingers is one of those things where I think because Kirby plays Kirby ball, and they would rather, and the funny part is they are throwing the ball a little bit more now with Carson Beck, but the perception that they're going to run the ball, they're going to win with defense, and there's not going to be a whole lot of stat padding throughout the course of a season. You have to wonder if, 5-star quarterbacks want the numbers, want the offense, want the opportunities to showcase what they can do at the next level, and you don't really see that in a Mike Bobo / Kirby Smart offense.
Look him up on Twitter at HomeTeamBLeak. That's L-E-A-K. Brandon Leak of 680 The Fan joins us here on Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. The Hawks are not particularly soaring right now, Brandon. They're kind of circling that 500 mark, and they're real streaky on the season. Last 11 games, they've had a 3-game losing streak. They've had a 6-game winning streak as well. Where exactly is this team? And in your mind, with Trae Young still scoring a lot of points, 20-plus a game, Clint Capella shooting really, really well, where do you expect them to be leading up to the NBA trade deadline? And I understand we're still early in the season, but do you expect them to be buyers, or do you expect them to try to get it done with who they have?
I think they are in a mini rebuild mode, and they will try to keep what they have and move forward. The Hawks are right at 500, but they've beaten the Bucks. They've beaten the Lakers with LeBron. They've beaten the Cavs twice. They've beaten the Celtics. They beat the Knicks last night in the Emirates NBA Cup. So they are finding games where they're beating the better teams in the NBA, some of the superstars in the NBA. And it's because Trae Young, I think, has figured some stuff out. He is passing the ball more. His shooting percentage isn't great, but he's getting more assists. And him getting guys involved, I think, is something management and Coach Quinn Snyder would like to see grow.
It's interesting because I was in person. It doesn't seem long ago, Brandon, and you can tell me the exact year and date and time, I'm sure, but it doesn't seem far removed from Trae Young and the Hawks being in the Eastern Conference Championship. I was there. Yeah. I was there for Game 3, I believe, when Trae Young was hurt. And, again, 4 years ago removed, 2020, 2021. So, while it does seem like they're in a much different spot right now, it wasn't too long ago they were competing for a chance to play for an NBA championship.
Boy, time flies. Trae Young is in his 7th season, 7 years in. And, just shows you how delicate runs are, coaching is, and moments when you do grab a little bit of momentum. And I think what they have learned is you are better suited to build around your talent and not try to grasp at straws, not try to go for a fly-by-night player that you think can come in and help you for a season or two. They tried it with DeJounte Murray, and it didn't work out. They gave up a ton of draft picks. I think if you look at the Celtics and you look at how, teams that are built for the long haul are doing, they're building around the talent that they draft and acquire from time to time, and they don't make monumental moves that seem like they're desperate. I think the Hawks are in that mode. They should just play with what they have and grow it with the young talent around Trae Young.
Brandon, it's funny. Greenville and Atlanta are only separated by, about 200 miles or so, about 2.5 hours drive. And I don't know, as far as sports markets go and sports radio markets, that these two cities could be any more different. Atlanta, you got to cover everything. I mean, you're covering everything down there. We're covering 70% of our audience cares, or their attention. 70% of it is strictly on college football, even in the off season. Like, I'd say college football recruiting is probably bigger than NBA talk here in the upstate of South Carolina. 25% NFL, maybe 5% everything else. Can you give us a sense of the fan base that you speak to on a daily basis there in Atlanta? Where would you say their allegiances lie and how you try to split up your content?
If I had to build a pyramid, I would say college football, then Braves, then NFL, and then everything else. And everything else includes, NBA, Trae Young, national stories. But I think college football still reigns supreme and always will in Atlanta, especially now with the resurgence of the Georgia Bulldogs and now Georgia Tech, where Brent Key looks like he has found the momentum, gotten himself a good culture set. And so now we look like we could be on a collision course where Georgia and Georgia Tech both have meaningful games, that final game of the regular season when the programs meet.
What was your thoughts, Brandon? And I know this is like college football news, also NFL news, somewhere a mixed bag. But what were your thoughts on the recent news that in the ACC, North Carolina has hired Bill Belichick to be its next head football coach?
Well, there's the beauty of sports, and sports talk radio will always have something to talk about.
Yeah.
This is either going to be a genius move where we've never seen a coach come in from the NFL ranks, run a college program like a pro team now that he has a GM as part of his staff, and use his team to, be somewhat of a pipeline to the NFL and sell, similar to what Deion Sanders is doing in Colorado. I know things that a lot of other coaches don't know. So you come here and I'll teach you guys that can make it to the next level how to play. The other side is this is a guy that ran off Tom Brady. I mean, Tom Brady had enough. And Tom Brady is not a guy who is resistant or has an adverse reaction to tough coaching. But after a while, he had enough, ran out, went to Tampa and won a Super Bowl. And Bill Belichick has not been the same since Tom Brady hasn't been there. So it is very interesting. I need to know if he has the ability to modify his style, because if he thinks he can yell at 18-year-olds who can hop in a transfer portal anytime they want, and that's going to fly, good luck with that opportunity to use that strategy, Bill Belichick.
Brandon, I want you to know that your voice is heard on this radio station probably every single day. There's a promo that we run with you on it with regards to the Michael Penix draft selection earlier this year. So you're being heard every single day here. Can you tell us what's going on inside that quarterback room and inside really that Falcons clubhouse? Because, they haven't had a particularly fantastic season. 6-7 is not awful. It's not good, but you are second in the division. Has anything changed? Are there rumblings and more people who want Michael Penix to get some more playing time?
It's not good. The fans, the outcry, the pleas for Michael Penix to get in to try to save the season, they are swelling. And it's a tough situation for first-year head coach with the Falcons, Raheem Morris, because he's got a quarterback who everything has been designed for him. The scheme, how they have assembled, how they run things in the red zone, it's all been designed for him. And he's just been absolutely awful the last month. 0 touchdowns, 8 interceptions in 4 games. We had to go back and pull the stats. 2005, Brett Favre had a stretch like that later in the season, but it has been awful. Raheem Morris has said he's sticking with Kirk Cousins, and I believe him. And I also believe that's the right move. You don't put a rookie in Minnesota last week, a 10-win team that got turnovers. That's not where you start a rookie. You don't start a rookie on Monday Night Football when you're desperately trying to get a win. You have to figure out a way to get Kirk Cousins back on track. This guy won NFC Player of the Week 2 times this season, and now he's got no touchdowns and 8 picks in a month. Now, once they are officially eliminated, if that happens, I think it is Michael Penix time to see what you have moving into the future. But as long as the Falcons still can attain their goal of winning the NFC South, being first and hosting a playoff game in their division, you have to go with Kirk Cousins no matter how loud and how maybe right the cries from the fans are.
Do we know if Kirk Cousins and maybe Bryce Young had some sort of a collision the last time they faced each other? Because it feels like they flip-flopped their abilities. Bryce is finally coming on over these past 4 or 5 weeks. The wins aren't there, but the play is greatly improved. And a guy in Kirk Cousins that we thought, hey, he's gonna have a great season. He's disappeared.
Can you imagine what will go on around here if the Falcons on the final day of the regular season lose to the Carolina Panthers and Bryce Young and Kirk Cousins, who lost 4 in a row and had the terrible stretch, goes home because a guy who's trying to figure it out beats them and ruins their playoff hopes. That is what we are mulling here. So it's still time to be played. Bryce Young, I think he's just been in a bad situation. They traded all of those players away and all the picks away in order to get him, and there's not really a lot of talent behind him. Defense playing a little bit better, but it's going to take some time because even though you have a quarterback, you still need a lot of pieces to make a football team run effectively and efficiently, and they just don't have it right now in Carolina.
Brandon, one more before we let you on. You said right move a few minutes ago when talking about the quarterback situation. Do you still believe, and do the media members that you work with on a day in and day out basis and the fan base believe that Atlanta made the right move in letting Bill Belichick go to North Carolina and not hiring him over Raheem Morris?
I don't know where I sit. I would assume I'm in the minority that there could be a great deal of Falcons Nation that wanted one of the most successful coaches in the history of football. But my position is, and I hope this isn't a shot at the Falcons, but the Falcons didn't want you. And neither did the other 6 teams that had vacancies for head coaching jobs in 2024. So, and we're talking about Tennessee, we're talking about Washington. We're talking about teams that, really needed to get on the board and to make a splash with some opportunities ahead of them. And they said no to Bill Belichick. So what does that say about him as opposed to the Falcons and everybody else? If the Falcons don't want you, if Tennessee doesn't want you, if Seattle doesn't want you, if Chicago doesn't want you, if Washington doesn't want you, maybe it's you.
Yeah, good point.
It makes it sound so much worse, Brandon, when you name off every single team that didn't want him. Man, that's got to sting. Hey, Brandon, we appreciate your time today. We appreciate you battling through the cold that you're dealing with. You're an absolute warrior, my friend, and we appreciate your time.
I'm here because of my pride. I have been off all week. You cannot take off and then you come back to work saying that you have a cold. You have to fight through it. So sorry about the scratchy voice. Next time, I'm certain I'll sound better, guys.
Can't wait for it. Can't wait. The silky smooth stylings of Home Team Brandon Leak. Make sure you look him up on Twitter at Home Team B Leak. When we come back, Cole, it is time to take a whip around the sports world, see what else is happening out there. We call it our Daily Wires. That will be next. A lot happening out there in the sports world, Cole. It's difficult to get to every single thing. It's been an entire segment on it. So we do this. We do a whip around. We call it Our Daily Wires. This is the buzz happening in the sports world. A source close to Bill Belichick says that taking the North Carolina job was a big bleep you to the NFL.
Oh, well, how's that going to work out, Bill? They're
So
still the NFL. I don't think they're missing you.
I think Bill looks at this like he burned a bridge intentionally. He nuked the bridge with the NFL so that he can't go back. The source also claims that Bill didn't expect to get the job at North Carolina.
You know, it was crazy. We had Dewey today, of course, Daily Dewey. And then we had 2 or 3 callers yesterday about Belichick.
Yeah.
People are very opinionated, and maybe we'll have more in the next segment, the Tolo Takeover, Diesel. But it's everybody's got an opinion on Belichick. Thank God for that news right now.
Yeah, I know. That might be the only newsworthy thing happening this week. Cole, this is wild. Cincinnati Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow said that his home was broken into while he was on a road trip and that he felt violated by it. Now, I remember a few weeks ago, Cole, we had a Daily Wire where the NBA and the NFL had issued security alerts to players following a series of high-profile break-ins at athletes' homes. They were saying that these were very organized break-in attempts. They had surveillance footage. They had jamming equipment so they could disable home security systems, etc. And it happened to Joe Burrow. Kansas City Chiefs Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce were both also targeted. Don't know for sure if it was by the same group or not. Tua Tagovailoa said that he hired security to be at his home when he's out on the road. Here's an easy fix, guys. Get a dog. Get a big-ass, snarling, scary dog. May I suggest a Doberman? They're a big pain in the ass.
They might have them.
If they don't bite the bad guy, they're certainly going to annoy the bad guy into leaving.
You know, it's crazy. It's wild. Like we've never really heard of that. I mean, obviously players' homes have been broken into, but now back to back to back, it's definitely strange.
Arizona wide receiver Teteria, I don't know how to say this.
Yeah, that's it.
Teteroa McMillan has declared for the 2025 NFL draft. He's a very good wide receiver on a mediocre team. So he's going to the NFL draft. Nashville has been named the host of the 2026 and 2027 FCS National Championship games. The games will be held at Vanderbilt's newly renovated First Bank Stadium.
How about that?
Yeah, it's been in Frisco for, close to 15 years or so. 12 years or so. I remember for the longest time it was held in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Prior to that, I believe it was held in Idaho, of all places. So congratulations to Nashville for getting the games.
Nasty.
Travis Hunter has signed a lucrative, I'm sure the number is not revealed here, a lucrative contract with Adidas, which is a break from Colorado's partnership with Nike, and obviously Deion Sanders had his famous Nike campaign as well. So he's breaking out on his own. This is for people who really care about uniforms and fit, because some people do. I don't. Travis, despite signing this deal with Adidas, will wear the team's Nike gear for the bowl game.
Good boy.
Yeah.
Good. I mean, come on. It's crazy that we're even having this conversation.
He's also been named the AP College Football Player of the Year.
Shocker.
Congratulations to Travis Hunter. He won it over Ashton Genty.
And what's the Heisman? Is the Heisman Saturday? Is it this Saturday?
I don't know. You have to look the answer.
He should be that he should win that award and the Heisman.
Why are there two different awards? It's the same thing, right?
What is it?
Are they going to the AP College Football Player of the Year?
This Heisman Trophy ceremony is Saturday night.
How about that? LSU quarterback Garrett Nussmeier announced Wednesday that he would return to the Tigers for his senior season, saying, quote, "I'm fully committed to bringing this university a championship." He posted a video saying as such on his social media page, quote, "My teammates, coaches, and the fans will get the absolute best out of me every single day until we complete the goal." So he may help Brian Kelly keep his job.
Well, it'd be timely for him to come back, because they would desperately need a veteran like that if they're going to be able to. I mean, and again, their recruiting class is stacked. They should be really good next year, but they do need him back.
The terms of the North Carolina Bill Belichick deal are emerging. 72-year-old Bill Belichick signed a 5-year deal worth $10 million annually. That's gigantic money for the ACC. Gigantic. I think that's probably right at what Dabo makes.
It's a lot.
So, I mean, it would appear here that UNC, at least financially, ain't playing around anymore. That's a $5 million jump from what UNC was paying Mac Brown, who had a national championship under his belt. That's what Mac was making in his last season. Only 7 coaches in FBS make over $10 million in 2024, a group that doesn't even include Ryan Day or Brian Kelly.
Interesting.
And finally, Cole, here, South Carolina, we talked about this, I think in the previous segment or 2 segments ago, revealed their full 2025 schedule. Neutral site game versus Virginia Tech will lead things off on August 31st, and South Carolina State will start the season. They'll close it out with Coastal Carolina and Clemson. I'm proud of South Carolina for playing 2 in-state schools, even if one of them is not the FCS sacrificial lamb.
No, it won't be. It'd be fun, though. I mean, Coastal versus South Carolina. I mean, a Gamecock versus inbred Gamecock?
A beach chicken.
Is that right?
I call them the beach chickens.
Oh, I like that.
The Chanticleers. It's from Chaucer. Look it up.
Yeah, it's a more fancy version.
It's from Chaucer.
All right, Tolos. One of the most interactive segments you will ever find in sports radio locally coming up next. Actually, the next 2 segments. We have the Tolo Takeover coming up in like 6 minutes from now. And then at 5:20, we need your participation again. We're going through round 2 of our Wire to Wire Christmas movie bracket. We're getting to the buys now. So some of the buys who we didn't get to yesterday are involved. We'll have new movies. But, man, you talk about interactive. It's right here on Wire to Wire. Tolo Takeover. It's your chance to take over these very airwaves. Phone lines are open right now. 844-FAN-PHONE. That's 844-326-3663. Whatever you wish to vent about, talk about, positive, negative, whatever it may be, it's the Tolo Takeover next.
Okay. It took me 1 hour to get $14.65 worth of gas.
By God, if I don't get that extra cup of sauce, I'm coming back in. I ain't waiting in line.
Okay, I saw some stuff on the internet that really got me going. Y'all have got me conditioned that I got to say thank you every time I call you guys. And when it's the Tolo takeover, I kind of want to just call and be angry for a minute, but I got to start off being all cordial and say thank you for taking my call.
Have to.
This isn't a bad part. I mean, that's a bad part, but that's not why I'm mad at sale.
The Gamecocks are trying to win and cut the loose on Saturday. Y'all need to be fired.
The grocery stores, at least the ones nearest me, are completely out of frozen pizzas, except for cauliflower pizzas.
Oh.
So if you are at the grocery store and nobody will buy your cauliflower pizzas, maybe you should stop carrying them.
What really ticked me off when he speaks, not because he's the Clemson football coach, but when he speaks about an ACC game, he makes it seem like it's some big ordeal. Dabo, your schedule sucks.
And I am pissed off today, okay? It took me 1 hour to get $14.65 worth of gas.
The voices you just heard are you Tolos. It is the one, the only Tolo takeover beginning right now. The phone lines have already started to light up. We love your participation in any segment. Yesterday in the Christmas movie segment, we had literally hundreds. I'm not kidding. I'm not joking. Diesel can back me up. Hundreds of text messages within like 10 minutes. So when I call for the Tolos to bring it strong on the Tolo takeover, look, I don't want you to just keep driving. No, catch him. No, you call in, you let your voice be heard, sound off like you got a pair, whatever it is you want to sound off on. 844 fan phone. That's the number. 844-326-3663. Diesel, you ready?
Let's do it.
Cocky for a reason. Starting us off on today's Tolo takeover, 844-326-3663. Cocky for a reason. What is on your mind?
Hey, I want to call in and, like I said, I want to congratulate Clemson for winning the ACC.
You don't mean that, do you?
When your little brother does good, you got to pat him on the back, So I just want to, I want to get that out of the way because we still got the bragging rights, and I'm not gonna crow too much about that until they, if they lose against Texas, then that'll be what 0-3 against SEC teams.
That'd be correct.
That'd be correct. But let's switch gears just a little bit. Because the word on the street is that Dabo might be wanting to dip into the transfer portal.
I've heard that.
But I would have been willing to bet the mortgage on the house that he would have dipped into it, but it's not sounding like it's going to be too successful because when Dabo dips into the transfer portal, it's kind of like being at the 8th grade middle school dance. Nobody wants to be the first one on the dance floor, and Dabo is sitting on the bleachers with his hands in his pocket. So I don't, I wish him luck. There's, the little brother's doing good, but we'll see how it goes, in the college football playoff.
What do you think happens, Cocky, for a reason?
I think they'll make a game out of it. It should be a good game. But like I say, I think Texas is going to want to make a statement.
What's your name?
And they'll pull it out in the end. I really do.
Cocky for a reason. How much faith do you have that Dabo Swinney will authorize enough money in the NIL to go get a top, let's call it 15 player at any given position?
Oh, they got plenty of money. Money's not the problem. It's the motivation to go out and do it. I mean,
I like that. Yeah.
Especially since they've linked the IPTAY contributions to the collective deal. They gonna have plenty of money if you can link your IPTAY money points to the collective. That collective is gonna go up sky high real quick because everybody wants their IPTAY points to go up so they can get the perks, you know. So.
Cocky for a reason. Here's an analogy for you. It feels like Clemson and Dabo Swinney's been dunking on one of those adjustable driveway basketball goals set all the way down to the lowest level. It's time to take that little stick and raise up the goal. You know what I mean?
Hey, I like that. Hey, when you're playing another SEC team, it ain't like playing an EZZ team, like the ACC.
Appreciate you, Cocky, for a reason.
He says you have to congratulate little bro when little bro does something good. That is the line that I took away from Cocky for a reason's phone call. Very good start. That was
not bad.
It was not bad. Very good start.
Calling in crowing right out of the gate.
I love that, man. There's nothing better. He did crows. I tell you what, he's got the crow down too. It's not as good as that one, but it's pretty good. He's got the crow down. So, all right, Tolos, can you top that one? I say Cocky for a reason set the bar pretty high today. I like that call. 844-FAN-PHONE, 844-326-3663. JD up next. JD, what is on your mind today?
Well, gentlemen, I'll be honest with you, man. You know, I go put in a hard 10 hours at work every day, and I come home to a screaming dog barking and two little boys named Trip and Paxton who will not shut their mouth long enough to listen to anything I say. And you know what? They're sitting here listening to me. They're giggling about it. But golly, man, can I not just have 5 minutes of peace and quiet when I come in the freaking house?
That's why you sit in the car for 5 minutes.
5 minutes. I mean, 5 minutes, 3 minutes. I don't care. Just give me a little bit of peace and quiet.
What does a screaming dog sound like real quick?
Willow, will you bark for him real quick? Willow.
No, you said screaming dog.
She won't do it. Now she won't do it.
No, she's a husky, but dude, I'm telling you, the minute I walk in the door, like she can literally go for a walk 5 minutes prior to me getting home. The minute I walk in, we've got to go on a whole new walk and go sniff out the whole neighborhood.
JD, I bet if you started howling, she would start howling with you.
No, I bet she wouldn't.
JD, do a howl right now. Howl right now, JD. Howl. Howl as loud as you can.
Talk to me. Nope. See, she won't do it. Now, if a car drove by, she'd run out from under it. She'd try to run under the car. There ain't no doubt about it. She'd bark at a car if it drove by. But, of course, nobody's going to bail me out at this particular moment. No. But I bet that she sniffs out the neighborhood probably about how Bill Belichick's going to sniff out UNC. He's going to go around. He's going to sniff around the campus for a little bit and decide this isn't what I'm going to want to do long term. Because I saw that his buyout goes down from $10 million to $1 million as of June 1st, 2025.
God.
So if that doesn't scream, I'm not here for a long time. I'm here for a good time. I don't know what does.
It's a good song.
I'll be blessed. Have a good one.
Thank you, JD. Is that $10 million to 1?
Wow, after one season.
Yeah, that's a drop, buddy.
He did throw the middle finger at the NFL. I don't think he's going back to the NFL. I mean, I think he's resigned himself. I'm never going to get that record. He's 27 wins. I mean, that even if you walk into a good situation, you're talking about 3 years to get that. Does Bill Belichick really have 5-6 more years at the NFL level to go get another 25, 26 wins?
I don't know that he does.
No, he doesn't.
I don't know if I've ever heard a buyout dropping that astronomical that early.
That's got to be part of the deal to make his son coach in waiting.
Good gosh. But that doesn't make any sense though. Like, why are you going if you're the whole reason I'm going is just so I can get the job to my son one day. I mean, that's pitiful. So JD's call is pretty good. I like that. JD says, the first one was about the dog,
the kids.
Yep. Bill Belichick says he's
you can stop by a bar on your way home. It's not illegal.
I'd sit in the car for a few minutes.
You can go inside, get a beer, and be back out the door in less than 5 minutes.
And he even throws in at the very end the George Strait reference, here for a good time, not a long time. And I'll tell you what, man, I like that song, JD. That's a good one. I think you should have sung it a little bit, a little country music reference. God, that was funny. That was funny. Hey, I'm good with George Strait on a Thursday.
Where's Mad Craft? Mad Craft says he's calling. Where are you at, Mad Craft?
Before you call Mad Craft, you have to call and put minutes on your phone, and then you can call us. And after you put minutes on your phone, it'll come through. I hate to tell you, but you've got to you've got to put minutes on your phone before you can do that.
Yeah, we can't collect calls here.
Yeah, we do not. 844-FAN phone, 844-326-3663. Tolo Takeover, Cocky for a Reason, JD getting us started. I think those are two pretty good ones. But
we haven't heard from Tom. We haven't heard from Rick. These two are staples on the
that's a good point.
On this segment here.
No, and the other one that we always hear from that said it was Tom's cousin. Who is that?
Jimmy?
Is it Johnny?
Johnny. Where's Johnny?
We hadn't heard from Johnny in a while.
It's not Johnny Carrots, is it?
No, I don't
think it's a different Johnny.
This Johnny's a Gamecock fan.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
This Johnny's a Gamecock. We hadn't heard from to your point, Rick and Greer. Hopefully, Rick and Greer are still alive.
Yeah, APB. Is Rick okay? Because you never know, man. Rick's into some weird, freaky deaky stuff. You know, I think Rick is
Rick real?
Is he a real person?
Is he a real person?
Or is he AI?
Do we know that he's real? Mongo, DB says, where's Mongo? He used to call in all the time. DB, he did used to call in. In fact, he texted in yesterday.
Yeah, we got a text from Mongo. We'll get it back again.
Mongo, that's a good. I like that. DB calling out Mongo. I love Diesel when we have Tolos call out other Tolos. So Mongo, just so you know, buddy, I talked to you on Sunday, but DB, one of our most faithful Tolos, has called you out. Said, where's Mongo? He used to call in all the time, getting a little slack. But Madcraft wants to chime in. And Madcraft, what is on your mind today?
Good afternoon to Diesel and the Tolos and absolutely nobody else. Just want to throw something by y'all to the Tolos, and if it's a good idea, y'all let me know through the text line. But I came up with an idea for something that happens twice a year. It's called the Tolo Brawl. And for the summer months, we do the Tolo Brawl. It'll happen outside. It'll be basketball shooting contest, football throwing contest. There'll be a cornhole tournament, things of that nature.
And
then during the winter months, we go to the insides and do something like maybe a poker game or, an arcade system or something like that.
Can we drink at these events?
Of course.
And I was answering the phone, Matt. So again, back up, set the scene for what's happening right now.
It's just an idea that I was creating.
Okay.
Called the Tolo Brawl, and I was going to run it by. And
who's brawling? Who is brawling?
No, it's everybody. The Tolos.
Are we advocating fighting here, Madcraft?
Yeah, can we use knives, sticks?
You shooting basketballs.
Oh, non-violent. Non-violent.
Brawl makes it sound like we're brawling. I'm just saying. A wrestling ring might have been involved in my head.
Now, we can do a once a year event where we put on some gloves.
Yeah, I'll pass. No, I will against you. I will against you, but I'm not a boxer.
Is it that you can't take a punch or you can't throw a punch?
I can't. I'm not a good boxer. Have you seen Madcraft? I thought about getting this. Have you seen this all over TikTok? It's trending right now for Christmas. It's this thing you put on the wall. It's like the most viral toy. I don't even know if it's a toy, but it's like a dartboard, Diesel. It goes on the wall, and it's a boxing simulator, and it has like 8 little places you hit, and it lights up, and it teaches you how to box. But they say it's like the most viral Christmas gift.
Is that how Jake Paul learned to fight?
Maybe. And if he did, I'll buy it. We'll put it in the studio.
Heck yeah.
And I'm with you. I like the idea, Madcraft. How about Tolo Hang instead of Tolo Brawl? Do you like Tolo Hang or no?
Yeah, that's what about Tolo Bash then? It's supposed to be a competition.
Gotcha. I didn't know that. I didn't know competition was involved.
Well, you didn't hear me? I said you got a basketball shooting contest. There's football throwing. There's a cornhole tournament.
It's like a jamboree, but for the Tolos.
Oh, so it's like the Tolo Olympics.
Yes. Yeah.
Tolo Olympics.
Exactly. I even thought about the fact that we could really do anything. If you want to bring your own event and you're the only person that competes, you win gold.
Oh wow, that'd be good for you ACC guys. You win something.
Oh, okay. Right, let me know what the Tolos say. All
right. So Madcraft is planning or petitioning. I like it a lot. Petitioning a Tolo Olympics kind of deal.
He clearly grew up on reading Rainbow, just like you and I did. He feels like he could be anything.
DB likes that Tolo. How'd you say it?
Tolo Olympics.
Get your tongue twisted there. Tolo Limp. No, there's not another L. Tolo
Olympic. It needs to be Tolo Olympics. I think you just.
No, there's another L. You're putting another L in there. Tolo Olympics. L. How do you say
it's
Olympics?
Not a bad idea.
No, it's a great idea. Olympics.
Olympics.
Olympics. Tolo. God, I can't even say Tolo Olympics. Tolo Olympics, right? I like that, Madcraft. We just need a sponsor, preferably a big one. So, Madcraft, if you can fork out the money, that'd be great. So, Madcraft's going to host it. Mad about everything. Sorry, he's going to host it, sponsor it, plan it, organize it. What else? I mean, I like it. I think.
And we'll just show up.
We just show up, and that'd be fantastic. Texter says you can call it the
Tolo Special Olympics.
Special Tolo Olympics. That I'm not going there.
Texter
I'm not
says,
doing that.
Can there be cockroach racing at the Tolo Olympics?
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Texter says Tolo Showdown. Tolo Steve says, I don't think I'm mad. I don't think Matt understands what the meaning of a brawl is. And that's where he had me confused. He kept saying brawl, and I was like, oh, we're fighting. We're competing. So I think the brawl and, kind of hints that there's a fight involved. Michael and Simpsonville
Who's your
says,
early money on to win this whole thing?
It depends what's involved.
You saw me shoot a basketball at that.
That's right. And the ball's still in the air.
It's still up there. I think it got stuck in a tree.
I think it depends what kind of events are involved.
Yeah.
It really does. Not Rob Brown, not Lonzo. I don't know. That'd be a good question.
There's not going to be any wrestling, so they won't
be
come.
there. Yeah, that's true. Texter says, oh, this is Michael in Simpsonville. Hand me the trophy now, says Michael. Not wrong. Michael is ready to boast. Texter, this comes from VTX Experience, says, where is Delvin? He used to call daily, same time, almost when the show was the huddle back in the day. Yeah, he does for the upset picks. He calls.
Yeah, we hadn't heard from him as much this year.
Yeah, maybe Delvin's busy, tied up, doing something. I don't know. Leprechaun Lyman says he is ready for the brawl. Texter from the 262 says, I'm so in for the Tolo brawl. Okay, so we're getting good. Hey, how about that? Matt Kraft.
Feedback.
Matt Kraft spawned a good idea for once in his life.
God, that's mean.
I love going at Matt. I love it. Texter says it's the gathering of the Tolos. That sounds too civil. It really does. No offense. It sounds too civil, too organized.
Are you saying like we're a bunch of juggalos around here?
Well, there's nothing.
Gathering of the juggalos.
There's nothing civil and organized about the Tolos and us. So it just makes it sound,
We can call it the uncivil war.
Yeah, it's true. So Matt, look at the text line all of a sudden.
They like your idea.
Matt Kraft or Matt about everything. Well done. Well done. I'll give him a clap about that. And as we run to the break, Diesel, I'm gonna hold it to the texters to keep the participation up. Texter says, I know Rob talked about it, but can y'all play Xavier Leggett talking about raccoons? Oh, glad you asked about that, Texter.
Oh, man, I don't know nothing about them raccoons.
All right, so to the raccoon audio with Leggett, 5:45, we have a audio head-to-head. So basically 2 clips of audio, which one wins, which one is better, and I will give you a little teaser, Texter, the Xavier Leggett raccoon. Have you heard that, by the way?
I have not.
Oh,
I have not. I can't wait.
Gosh.
I can't wait.
Oh, my gosh, is all I can. I mean, this is the craziest audio you've ever heard Xavier Leggett say. It's great.
When we come back, Cole, the exciting continuation of our bracket that began yesterday, the best Christmas movie. We have how many movies up today? We have how many matchups up today? We have like 8, right?
Yeah, I think so.
8
I think
matchups.
that's right.
You Tolos will decide who advances through each round of the best Christmas movie bracket. We'll keep that going next. Predicting the college football playoff results, that's easy. It's also old hat. Like, we've already done that yesterday on the show.
Yeah.
So why not get down to the nitty gritty, down to where things really matter, when it gets real? We're doing the Wire to Wire best Christmas movie ever bracket, and it is happening right here, right now. Oh, you do have Christmas music.
You got a little Christmas music in the background, baby.
So we are in the second round.
Yep.
Some of these movies are facing movies that received first round buys. Because they're great, right? You couldn't risk it.
Just so you know, all of these came from you Tolos on the Facebook page. So these are not Diesel and I suggestions. These 8 matchups to advance to round 3. There are no more buys. Round 3, we'll get it down to 4 games, and then we'll be in the final 4.
Okay. Are you ready for this, Cole?
All right, Tolos.
Are you Tolos ready? So 71307 is the number. Make sure you start your text with the word fan. We're opening up the voting for just a very narrow window of time, so you can't dilly-dally.
That's ridiculous.
You got to jump in here, okay? Round number 2, matchup number 1, Elf versus Frosty the Snowman.
Ooh, that's
Elf
easy.
Versus Frosty the Snowman. Now, you're talking about the classic Frosty the Snowman movie, right?
That's right.
From like the 1940s, it looks like.
Yeah, you know what? It's a good one. Here's the deal. I think I got burnt out on Elf, so I don't watch Elf at Christmas. I just don't. So it's Elf, Frosty. I guess I would go Elf, even though I'm not a big Elf.
You're burnt out on
I know, but I don't like Frosty.
What?
I don't like Frosty.
What?
I don't like it. It's not good.
You got so much recency bias here. It's unbelievable. It's Frosty.
I don't like it.
Frosty. It's a timeless classic.
I know. I just for whatever reason I'm not a.
I mean, Elf had a human walking into. He was creeping on the girl in the shower scene. Had a shower scene. He's creeping on. Okay, that's it.
All right,
No more votes. That's no more votes. Let's see.
Oh, God.
I'm seeing 2 for Frosty. There's 1 for Elf. Frosty, Elf. Let's see here. Frosty wins.
No.
Frosty just won 4-3.
You're kidding me. Wait one
Frosty
second.
won.
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh my gosh.
By a close margin.
So Frosty won.
And then you and I split, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's true.
What our votes say.
So I'm going to put those winners in bold.
How about that?
Wow.
Dan B's like 7 votes. It was only open for like 30 seconds, Dan.
And here comes more that are coming in late that do not count.
Yeah, these don't count.
Sorry, Texas.
Are you setting a timer for how long these things are supposed to go? I just
yesterday
kind of set off a mental timer.
Yesterday it was like so I just called it because I mean there were so many coming in.
Okay, Cole. So Frosty the Snowman advances past Elf.
I'm shocked.
How about that? A tight race. This one's going to be difficult for you, Tolos. I hope you're ready for this. We're going to give this one a little bit more time because I feel like the votes are going to be massive on this one.
Yeah.
Home Alone versus Die Hard.
And that's the first Home Alone.
Home Alone number 1.
Yep.
Set in the McAllister's home versus Die Hard.
That's a no-brainer for me. Home Alone wins every time.
Go. 71307. Start your text with keyword fan. We're doing our best Christmas movie bracket. Which one is better, Home Alone or Die Hard?
It's not even a question. Is Die Hard that good of a movie?
Yeah.
It's not as good as Home Alone, though.
It is Die Hard's a great movie.
No.
They even have like advent calendars of Hans Gruber falling off of Nakatomi Plaza.
Tolos are a lot more involved this round.
There you go.
Already. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 already in the matter of 20 seconds. So Home Alone. Look, Die Hard's good, but you're going to be hard pressed to find to get me to pick against Home Alone.
I love Die Hard. It's got Carl Winslow, whose name I can't remember. There's the improbable situation of the limo driver who's getting stoned in the limo, just hanging out throughout the entire movie, has no idea that there's a terrorist event happening right above his head.
It's true.
You got helicopter, but the answer is Home Alone.
The answer's
Home Alone. Die Hard is an amazing movie, but as far as Christmas movies go, Reggie, thank you, Dan. Couldn't think of his name.
TB must be a diehard fanatic.
All right, and stop.
No more.
Stop. Mike Main, that's
enough
out of you.
Sport doc.
I'm gonna block you, Mike Main, for those words. Mike Main just called us cotton-headed ninny muggins.
That's a great line. It's a
God.
great line. No more, Tolos. No more.
How dare you?
This one's without counting how many I've got. You do Home Alone, I'll do Die Hard. I've got 1 Die Hard, 2, 3.
I can't count with you. Also counting.
Sorry. I think Home Alone wins.
1.
Yep. Home Alone. 1, 2. Yeah. It's looking good.
I got 9 for Home Alone.
Yeah, you're good. Home Alone wins.
Home Alone advances.
Yep.
How about that? Home Alone advances.
It was
over
close
Die Hard.
though. Just so you know, we had about 18 come in within a matter of a minute.
Let's be real though. Kevin McAllister, that little psychopath that he is, could have taken out that gang in Die Hard. I mean, they had guns, they had weapons, they had everything they needed. They don't stand a chance against Kevin McAllister.
No, I'm with you.
That kid, there was something seriously wrong with him. So let's stay right there with Kevin McAllister.
Yeah.
And this, again, voted on by you, Tolos. The brackets based on what you suggested. Home Alone 2, which is the one based in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
It's one that also featured a very short cameo from our 45th and 47th president, Donald Trump, versus Christmas Vacation. Chevy Chase, Christmas Vacation.
Bad
Merry
news
Christmas.
for you, buddy.
The bleeper was full.
I got bad news. As much as I love Home Alone, you'll never, ever, ever hear me vote against
You couldn't
Christmas Vacation.
You couldn't hear a dump truck driving through a nitroglycerin plant. The answer is Christmas Vacation.
Say Grace.
Clark.
Who? Grace died 30 years ago.
God, I just watched that movie like a week ago.
God blessing. It's so good. It's
Fix
so
the
good.
post. God, it's so good.
Look, as good as much as I love Home Alone, I'm sorry. There's nothing. It's just I love Home Alone. I love
I don't know if I ought to go flying down that hill with nothing between my head and the ground but a piece of government plastic.
Or you plan on put? Hey, that's a good one too. Hey, I like the scene.
No, Todd.
I like the scene where they're in the grocery store and it's Eddie and what's his name? The main character.
Clark,
and he has the light bulbs in the buggy, and Cousin Eddie just throws the dog food right on top.
100-pound bag of dog food.
It's so good.
Why don't you get yourself something real nice, Clark?
It's so good.
God.
All right, I think that
Christmas Vacation, bam, 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 almost a route.
Almost a clean sweep.
Almost a clean
no
sweep.
Surprise there.
Home Alone did get a couple of votes. Y'all are wrong, but that's fine. Texter says Christmas Vacation is a goated movie. Kevin D going Christmas Vacation. Reed Atkins going Christmas Vacation. And somebody says, "Are you serious, Clark?" I love it. I love it. Yep. Christmas Vacation has advanced past Home Alone 2. But hey, Kevin's still alive in this challenge. And by the way, that was John Galicki, right? The Leonard from Big Bang Theory plays the youngest son.
No, I didn't know
son in Home Alone 2.
I did not know
Home Alone
that.
2, Christmas Vacation.
And Stream, I'm sorry for this, but you won't be able to hear this. This is now our new background music. A little bit of Clark in the background.
Okay, Cole, here we go. We keep it going. Tolos, you're going to have a short window here to get your votes in. Better Christmas movie, Christmas Story versus It's a Wonderful Life.
The blessing.
Christmas Story versus It's a Wonderful Life. Go. 71307. Start your text with keyword fan. Which one is the better Christmas movie?
Christmas Story.
And go.
Without a doubt, Diesel. It's a Wonderful Life.
Get out of here. See, this texter wouldn't even sign his text. He says, I think Christmas Vacation is dumb. Sorry, not sorry. Wouldn't sign his text.
I don't think that's a real text. There's no human being that really says that.
It's got to be AI.
There's no human being.
Christmas
story. Oh, my God, the text.
Yeah.
It's a lot coming in.
Soft glow of electric sex gleaming in the window.
Christmas Story is an all-time classic, though. Like
it is
all-time classic.
I'm gonna be real. Some of those like 20s black and white Christmas movies, dull.
Yeah,
like I don't feel anything when I watch those. Maybe it's because I'm dead inside. I don't know. All
right, Tolos.
And
yeah.
Stop. No more votes in this round. 1, 2.
A lot. This one's
there's 8 for A Christmas Story. 5 for It's a Wonderful Life.
Okay.
So there you go.
Christmas
Story has advanced past It's a Wonderful Life.
I can't get over that one scene. I can't do it. Oh, we got 3. Oh, we got 4 more. We got to speed it up a little bit.
Okay, here we go, Tolos. Here we go. Medea's Christmas versus Bad Santa.
So
in
again,
this matchup,
these were voted in by the Tolos. Medea's Christmas. It won't make it far, but I will tell you, it is freaking hilarious.
But it's not Bad Santa. Billy Bob Thornton. That might be my favorite thing Billy Bob Thornton's ever done.
That's a good point.
And it's so good.
Yeah.
Bad Santa is so good. I know some of you won't watch it. Sorry, JD, you can't watch it around the kids. Otherwise, they're going to learn a lot of 4-letter words. But Bad Santa, like that came out at exactly the right time. I was in college, so I was very immature then. So this is where you say you're still immature.
Still immature, yeah.
There you go. But Bad Santa was amazing. And Mrs. Santa Claus was hot.
All right, let's see. I see. Oh, I think this one's a clean. Oh, no, I do see one Medea, but I see
Not
Bad
a clean
Santa.
Sweep.
I'll tell you, man, Medea's funnier than people. Like it. If you haven't seen, again, I don't think it's up there in top 5. But if you haven't seen Medea's Christmas, it is. Have you seen it?
Yeah,
It's so good. It's so funny.
Bad Santa wins that one.
Bad
hands
Santa
down,
wins,
going away. All right, we've got 2 more of these to go. To the texter who says, "God, this is bad radio." You're texting in, man. You're participating. You're a part of this thing. So
bad radio, but we have more text for this segment than we do with it.
Yeah, we talked Mac Brown, we talked Bill Belichick, we talked playoffs. You get like one text on those topics. We've gotten hundreds of text messages on this topic over the last.
Well, thanks for listening.
Yeah, texter says Tyler Perry stinks. Okay,
I don't know about that.
Here we go with the Grinch. That would be the Jim Carrey live action Grinch movie versus A Christmas Carol. A Christmas Carol versus The Grinch. What say you? 71307. Start your text with the word fan. Tell us which one's the better movie.
Guess what? I don't think I've ever seen A Christmas Carol.
A Christmas Carol.
I don't think I've seen it. I don't know. Again, it was submitted by the Tolos. I'm not sure, so I'll have to go Grinch here on this one. Because
that's also a Jim Carrey movie.
Oh my God.
Are you talking about the Jim Carrey Christmas Carol?
Be. Yeah, must be.
How come nobody put Scrooged on this list?
That's good.
Nobody voted for Scrooged?
There were no Scrooge submissions on the and that's a testament to you, Tolos. If you don't like and follow us on Facebook, it's your fault. You should at the Fan Upstate.
Oh.
We've got Grinch, Christmas Carol, Grinch.
It's Grinch.
Kevin D says this is great radio. I don't know what the other guy.
Thank you, Kevin D.
Christmas Carol, Grinch. Oh, this might be close. 4, 5. Oh, Diesels. All right, let's call this one. Grinch wins.
Grinch wins. How about that?
2 more.
1 more.
No,
2 more. 2 more to go. Here we go. Santa Claus #1. That's the Tim Allen Santa Claus film versus A Nightmare Before Christmas. Santa Claus #1 versus A Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah, this one's not close.
71307. Start your text with keyword fan.
Santa Claus 1's
no. A Nightmare Before Christmas is. What are you talking about?
Santa Claus 1's an all-time classic.
How many times, Cole, have you walked around and seen somebody wearing a Santa Claus movie T-shirt or have a Santa Claus sticker on their car in 2024? A Nightmare Before Christmas is a cultural icon.
It is, but like Tim Allen falling off the roof, putting on the coat. I don't know, man.
It was horrible CGI. Horrible
with the
CGI.
Reindeer.
No, I'm talking about the part where he gets sucked down into the chimneys.
Yeah, the chimney. Yeah,
it's
you're
bad.
Right. It is.
My vote's for A Nightmare Before Christmas. I love that movie.
All right, let's see. We've got Nightmare, Santa Claus. Oh,
y'all are wrong.
All right, 2 more. 2 late votes in for Nightmare. Give him 5 more. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Stop.
No more. And Santa Claus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, Santa Claus wins.
I've got 7 for A Nightmare Before Christmas.
I got 9 Santa Claus.
Dang.
Yep. Santa Claus won.
No.
1 more though.
Texter wants to know where's Die Hard. Well, Die Hard just got its ass kicked by Home Alone.
It did.
Sorry, Texter. That just happened.
T Experience, by the way, says screw the texter that says this is bad radio. Tell him. Get him out of there. All right, one more, Diesel.
One more to go. Can Tim Allen make the clean sweep? We got Santa Claus number 2 versus Jingle All the Way. Arnold Schwarzenegger's Sinbad. It's Turbo Time. That movie.
Still Santa Claus too.
No.
Yep.
What?
Yep.
What is your fascination with Tim Allen?
I like that. I don't know. He's funny as crap.
Jingle All the Way is great. He's got a kind of a deadbeat dad, but his dad's going to do whatever it takes to go get him his Turbo Man doll. And then his dad puts on the Turbo Man costume. So now your dad is a superhero.
Yeah.
Come on, dudes. Jingle All the Way.
All right, let's see what we got. We got Santa Claus 2 by John Dog. Jingle, jingle, jingle. Santa Claus 2. Uh-oh.
Turbo Man rules, says the text.
Diesel, this one might be close. This one's getting close. 2 in for Santa Claus. Kevin D says, I'll be back, though, says Arnold.
He didn't say that in that movie, did he?
Did he not?
That would be such an Arnold thing to drop. I'll be back in every movie.
No, he didn't say that in that one. You're right.
No.
I don't know what I was thinking.
I don't think he dropped it as a little hint either. All right, you got about 10 seconds left, Tolos. We're going to give you 10 seconds.
7.
Text in.
6.
Text in or jingle.
5.
Now. Do it.
4.
Do it.
That is tampering. You're tampering.
Texter says, it is god-awful radio, but I'm sitting in traffic and listened to the whole thing anyways.
All right,
Thank
call
you,
that
Texter.
one. No more on that one. That round's closed. Santa Claus 3, 4.
Put that cookie down. No.
6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, jingle 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh.
Is it close?
Oh.
Is it 1 vote difference?
You might have to do this one during the break. One.
Let's come back with the exciting conclusion of this round of voting.
We're gonna have to get this one
when we come back from break.
This one's tough. We'll get the results for this one during the break.
Too close to call, as they say in
that's
political
right.
parlance.
Too close to call. We'll have it for you next, and no cheating going on during the break.
Anything north of JB's text that doesn't like JB, he's not texting in a vote. Sorry, this last voter, that doesn't count. We already said stop.
All right, Tolos, on the other side, we'll have the results from that and audio head-to-head. 2 clips of audio. Diesel will decide who wins next. Tight race, Santa Claus 2 versus Jingle All the Way, and Diesel, the winner goes to?
Well, it's a tie. Here's the problem. It's a tie.
Ooh.
So the question, I think here's the only fair way to decide this, Cole, because this is the way we apparently decide who should be in the college football playoff. Who would win in a fight? Arnold Schwarzenegger versus Tim Allen.
I don't think that's very fair for Tim Allen.
No, it's not. So Jingle All the Way gets it done, advances in the bracket challenge.
I like it. All right, we'll continue that tomorrow. Round 3 tomorrow. We'll have 4. Oh man, this thing's getting close. I'll even post it on Twitter after I update the bracket. But we have 2 pieces of audio here, Diesel. The Tolos asked for one of them. So here we got, it's audio head-to-head challenge, right? Which piece of audio do you like better? 1v1, head-to-head, however you want to call it here. One is of Xavier Legette talking about eating raccoon. The other one is Representative Josh Williams in Ohio. Remember, we talked about that yesterday, wanting to give people felonies for flag planting. Well, somebody confronted him about it. Ooh. And this audio is great.
Oh.
So we're going to go Representative Josh Williams first. Here's what the confrontation was.
Sportsmanship should be cool again. I mean, he's just trying to help us out.
Sportsmanship is be cool. Is that what we're about? This is what we've become on Calvin Square? Sportsmanship.
If I have to be called soft to preserve the integrity of our institutions,
you're an institutionalist now,
and prevent our law enforcement officers from getting injured from a violent encounter on the field because of a damn flag, I don't mind being called soft for that.
Like in your arrested, charged, booked right there.
You don't have to get arrested in Ohio when it comes to a felony. You can get a direct indictment. You can get a bill of information. You don't have to technically get arrested.
Yeah.
So I mean, I deal with that on a daily basis. And 9 times out of 10, if it ever got charged, it'll get reduced down to a misdemeanor and fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah. Ryan Day is soft. Do you think Ryan Day should
needs to go?
He needs to go.
He needs to go.
So Representative Josh Williams in Ohio says Ryan Day's got to go.
Oh.
He's going to give out felonies for flag planting, and it'd get reduced.
What is he going to do? Have like a stack of playing cards in his hand? You get a felony. You get a felony. You get a felony. It's okay because they're going to plea it down to a misdemeanor in court.
All right, now this
felonies on the spot.
I have a feeling this one might win the 1v1 audio challenge here. Here's Xavier Legette talking about eating raccoon.
In the food industry that you have a weird opinion on. Well, y'all probably seen that video. I eat raccoon.
You what? What do you mean raccoon? Like the raccoon?
Like a raccoon that you see in the trash can.
Where do you even eat that at?
I hunt it. I kill it, cook them, eat them, all that.
So when's the last time you had a raccoon?
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
You gotta say it like he says it.
Thanksgiving. One more time. That's too good to play once.
Food industry that you have a weird opinion on. Well, y'all probably seen that video. I eat raccoon.
You what? What do you mean raccoon? Like the raccoon?
Like a raccoon that you see in the trash can.
Where do you even eat that at?
I hunt it. I kill it, cook them, eat them, all that.
So when's the last time you had a raccoon?
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
I ain't eating raccoon, my friend. I am not eating.
I've eaten it once.
A raccoon may taste like pumpkin pie, but I'm not eating the filthy. You know what?
I love Xavier Legette. Does Representative Williams stand a chance against Xavier Legette there?
No, not a chance.
That audio, man. They give it. That is great.
I love his bit a couple weeks ago. He's like, I think I sound regular.
Mullins, South Carolina doesn't play, says James on the YouTube stream.
James, does everybody in Mullins sound like that?
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
God, he's great. He's so good. How do you not love Xavier Legette, man?
God, I love it.
All right.
When we come back, we have a coach's spotlight with a big-time head coach, Belton Honey Path's Russell Blackston. That's coming up next. It's Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. We go to the phone lines right now and bring on the head coach of Belton Honeypath, Russell Blackston. Congratulations, Coach, on making it as far as you have. I know it's been an absolutely fantastic season for BHP. And you also did what a lot of people thought was going to be a real tall task in knocking off a charter school in MVP. Now you've got another one to go head-to-head with against. Can you tell us what is the challenge like in coaching against a team like that that makes it markedly different from coaching a traditional high school?
Well, I think both schools have challenges, we really were pleased with what we were able to do last week. We played great defense the entire game. I tell you, we really did. And then, we found enough offense in the first and fourth quarter and the field goal to go out there and get the job done. It was first and goal on the 4-yard line. Our defense goes to that first down, second down, third down, force them to kick the field goal. If we go down 20 to 7.5, I don't know if I'm sitting here talking to you on this radio show. Our defense did an outstanding job. Senior Noricus Cowan came in and blocked that kick, put it 7-6. And then, just truly blessed, man. Senior Colby Bates, last year in the third round, he had a big interception versus Clinton in the third round. And then he had 2 interceptions in this game. And then the 2-point conversions they went for after they ran the kickoff back. I'd have bet the house, the mortgage, and everything that the kickoff wouldn't go back for a touchdown. But we did a high pooch left kick, and we outran the coverage of it. We outran the kicks, what it looked like on video. And number 8, because I didn't want to kick it to 0, I didn't want to kick it to 1, I didn't want to kick it to 2. And then number 8 takes off and takes it to the house, and the senior Colby Bates, everybody says he dropped the ball, but it was a pass breakup. He went in there and raked the ball out as he was going to. That's what I saw. And then I tell you what, man, on the 81-yard touchdown run that Marquez Henderson had, I know you know what the movie Matrix is, but I'm telling you what, he fit his body through a 12-inch window and never got touched on 81 yards to the house. And truly blessed to see that thing. Clemson commit. Mr. Football finalist, playing in the Shrine Bowl here in a couple of weeks. He'll be enrolling up there at Clemson. And, it's been very humble emotion. Your question you ask about, it's the same thing. They got to do the same as us. All my kids are homegrown, and they went to elementary school here, middle school here, and, they're a family. And that's why our kids pulled together and found a dub last week, because they pulled together. Good teams, that's what they do. Offense answers defense, defense answers offense, and special teams is kind of the equalizer. Our kids did a good job.
In his 15th season, Russell Blackston joining us right here on the Fan Upstate before Saturday's state championship game against Oceanside. It'll be the first time ever those two teams have played. Coach, I saw that your team got to practice at Clemson in the indoor facilities this week. Talk about that and how cool of an opportunity it was. And on the flip side, what did you do extra? I know you don't add anything at this point in the season, but was it just a walkthrough, or was it a little bit more of a physical practice at Clemson the other day?
It was a full-blown practice. I wanted to jumpstart the week. I've been coaching so long that, man, kids need to understand what the playoffs means. I knew no matter what, we was going to jumpstart the week somehow, some way. And then Saturday morning when I saw the weather forecast, I said, hey, guys, I'm going to work on this. Whole staff came up, worked Saturday morning. I say, I'm going to work on a few things. Just make sure you wives know you'll be getting home late on Monday probably. And I reached out to high school relations director, Robbie Caldwell, and Jordan Sorrells and some of those guys. We just started working. We had to do all kinds of stuff to get it up there. We wanted to make sure we did every single special team, and we wanted to make sure we did all our kicks because we're not blessed to get to play on turf every week, and I wanted to make sure that nobody had any advantages. So we practiced up there on Monday. Tuesday was an inside day because of all the rain. And then Wednesday, we went over to Anderson University to practice again on the turf. I just want to give our kids a chance. I want to give them some understand. Was when we played up at Gaffney, our first contest of the year, we slipped all over that turf. And then we played at Westside. It was a little deal early, and plus Westside's good. I'm going to tip my hat to them, but I think it affected us a little bit. So I want to get our kids 2 extra times on turf. to get an opportunity. And we got to be who we are. Oceanside is going to be who they are, and we got to be who we are.
Coach, when you look at a lot of the better teams and the teams that are still obviously alive in the playoffs, you get really lopsided scores. I'm looking down your list of scores, 55-6 against West Oak, the big win against Crescent, big win against Pendleton. And you could say the same thing for Oceanside. How do you slow down a team that's used to scoring 45, 50, 60 points a game without obviously giving away too much? And because I'm sure that we have a lot of Oceanside people listening to the show right now trying to pick up tips on what you're going to do this weekend.
Well, it starts with a great defensive plan. I mean, first of all, you break down what their number one run is, their number one RPO off of that, and work from there backwards, And just take a look at it. And, we watched a lot of film on those guys. I'm sure they've watched a lot of film on us. And, our goal around here is just keep making them snap the ball. And, it's one play at a time. After the first play, the next play concept. Oceanside's blessed, man. I tell you what. 2-3 to start the year, new head coach after the first week of the season. And, they played two of the teams they're playing are in the state finals right now, and then the other two teams that they lost to, one of the other teams they lost to went deep in the Georgia playoffs. They played Murder's Row schedule. As far as points, that's up to the defense, man. Defense got to play great football on both sides. I don't think scoring for either team is going to be exactly super easy. I really don't. Because it's state championship. I mean, that's what big-time players do. They step up and make big-time plays in big football games. We're going to try and do on our offense what, sometimes your play calling on offense goes down while you're playing on defense. So it's anxious to see how the game goes down Saturday.
Coach, it's interesting when you talk about the one loss you guys had earlier in the season to Westside. You brought that up, and it was a 55-14 loss for you guys against a team that's also playing this weekend for a state championship. A lot of talk about Marquez Henderson at running back, but your quarterback, Thomas, has been very good this season for BHP. Talk about him and what kind of player he is and what you expect from him Saturday.
I tell you what, Noah Thomas, our junior quarterback, he's the one that gets to play in and gets everybody set up. Very dangerous with his legs, got great touch on the football. He's got a special connection with our wide receivers, and I'm very proud of what he's able to do. He's a good general back there. He's our starting quarterback on the 13-1 team last year, and Noah's just does exactly what the offense asks him to do. A lot of times quarterbacks would want to throw it more, but he doesn't get the opportunity to throw as many as some of them do. But if you need to, he can.
Coach, what did you learn about yourselves in that West Side game, your lone loss on the season that you really are taking into this deep run in the playoffs?
We threw an interception. West Side returned it back for a touchdown. We fumbled the ball. They ran it back for a touchdown. We kicked off to them. The first play of the game, they ran it back to a touchdown. You give anybody 3 scores, not on the offensive side, 21 total points. And, Westside made those plays, so we didn't give them to them, but we sure didn't stop them from doing it because we allowed those things to happen with our turnovers. So you take that 21 points away, and, it was a lot closer ball game than you think, but you spot somebody 21 points, and you're going to have a 55-14 score. We still had a ton of rushing yards in the game and all that type of stuff, but, my hat goes off to Westside and wish them the best of luck.
Coach, when you talk about drawing from losses and drawing from past events, how much do you feel like last week's win can help you guys if Saturday is a similar situation?
Well, that's what teams do. That's what good teams do. They keep making them snap it and keep playing the next play. And at halftime, we talked just like the coach from Syracuse. There's a coach from Citadel that played at Clemson. I said, hey, man, I listened to that speech after the game. I said, man, I respect the heck out of that speech. We're down 16-7, guys, okay? 16-7. Let's see if we can win the third quarter, okay? If we can win the third quarter, we got a chance for the fourth quarter. We scored, 3 points in the third quarter, I believe, if I'm correct. And then we scored, I guess it was 20 points in the fourth quarter. So they didn't have any fourth quarter scores except for the kickoff return. So that's what we told our kids at halftime. And, we got 24 seniors, and a lot of these starters are on the 13-1 team from last year. And hopefully the best is yet to come for them Bears.
Talking to Russell Blackston, Belton Honeypath head football coach. Coach, what's your philosophy on trying to add any new little bits of wrinkles going into a new football game or going into the state championship game versus just making sure you're doing everything it is that you do to the best of your ability?
Well, number one, you got to be who you are. Your best running play's got to be your best running play. You can do your best running play out of a different formation, out of different motion, do something different along those lines. But as far as the new play, you're not going to win at the new play. These guys are going to remember what they've done for the previous 14 weeks and what they did all spring, all summer, all fall. That's how you're going to win a football game, is by doing what you do, be who you are. If you had a new play at this time of the year, like a brand new play, a new concept, you're not going to win. That's the bottom line. And that's the way our staff is. And, you know, we're going to the game with our 4 plays that we've had all year long. As far, you know, and there's some different stuff that we add to it here and there. But, you know, as far as the grand scheme of things, we got to be who we are. And Oceanside, I guarantee, will be who they are.
Coach, my last question for you. You started at BHP in 2010. And I don't know what your experience was before that, but talk about, this is kind of a big picture question in terms of coaching. You know, we hear at the college ranks all the time how the games change and you have to coach differently, and the youth have changed, right? You can't be the hard-nosed coach to everybody. From the time that you got into coaching to now, how have you had to adjust your style of coaching?
I'll tell you what, it's my 29th year overall.
Wow.
I spent four years over at Crescent High School. I was offense coordinator / defense coordinator first 2 years, the last 2 years, and then came to BHP in 2000. So I've been standing on the sideline at BHP for 25 years and 15 years as a head coach. BHP's home. And I tell you what, you used to go, you know, be real tough, real tough. I tell you what, this new age is a visual learner. They're a technology learner. And they learn by loving, caring, you know, and that's one thing I try to express. I want my kids to know that I love them. You know, years ago you didn't have that, but if my rule is if you chew a kid out, rough them, talk to them pretty rough, and your next play you got to make sure you're attaboy and love them, because that's who kids are these days, and that's the way society is these days. And, you know, nobody wants to get yelled at all the time. For every negative, you got to be too positive.
Coach, we love talking on this show about Ian Shefflin, basketball player at Clemson, as that glue guy, is that one guy that holds everything together. Going into the state championship game, let's just say, for example, you're down 10 points in the third quarter. Who's your glue guy that's going to help you get this thing over the hump?
I tell you what, defensively, it's got to be Ty Kelly. He's the team captain, Sam linebacker, and it's got to be him. Offensively, it's any one of those offensive linemen, any one of those guys, you know, that kind of holds us together. And of course, Henderson as well. Henderson, you know, wants to be in the game. He wants to play. Henderson, I don't know if you know this, though. You realize he's got 103 touchdowns in 4 years.
Wow. Unbelievable.
Yeah. 103 touchdowns, 6,400 yards rushing. I mean, you know, Oceanside's going to be unbelievable trying to pressure him. And, you know, what an opportunity it's going to be on the biggest stage in front of everybody.
Coach, I lied to you. I said it was my last question, but as we part ways, let's say you guys do get the win on Saturday. How does Coach Russell Blackston celebrate with a victory meal? What is Coach Blackston's ideal victory meal after a big state championship win that I'm calling for on Saturday?
The first thing I'm going to do is find my wife, and I'm going to give her a big old kiss. That's the first thing I do. Okay. Second thing, I'm going to find my mom and dad and my boys, because they've seen it all, man. You know, they've seen me in this football game, and, you know, they've battled. And as far as meals, I'm not worried about no meal. I'm worried about getting everybody with their loved ones as quick as possible.
That's awesome. Coach, we appreciate you, man. Best of luck on Saturday, and bring it home for us.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Go Bears.
Coach Russell Blackston, BHP. That's a great interview right there.
That might be the most football coach voice I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, he's awesome.
I mean, that is straight out of Central Casting, football coach voice.
He said no meal for me, man. I don't need no meal. He said, I ain't worried about no meal. I was trying to get, you know, a big steak dinner. You know, no,
I'd be fine stopping at a Waffle House on the way
that's
home.
right. That's right. All-star special. Coach Blackston's done a great job. It's crazy to think that he talked about it. He was there since, I think he said 2000. Wayne Green was the head coach then. Russell Blackston took over in 2010. So he's been there for 25 years. And, you know, at the high school level, Diesel, man, this is my 12th season covering high school football, and that's rare. one school, one coach for 25 seasons. You know, players transfer, coaches bounce from here to here to here. And I'll tell you this, what I like about BHP, it's still truly – we don't have many of these left in South Carolina, but it's still truly a small town community atmosphere. You have those over in Anderson, parts of Greenville, but when you get out more rural, you know, the Burns,
the game's changing.
It is.
Yeah.
Greenville is just so populated. You get out in the outskirts a little bit and go toward Anderson, BHP, Belton, and Honeypath. It's what, like you said, the kids grew up together. It's a small town feel. The way Gaffney is, the way Burns is, and few programs are still like that. Still have that community support. And I was at the BHP MVP game. Those people, their fans, Diesel, in 27-degree weather last Friday night. You remember how cold it was?
Oh, yeah.
They had it packed, and it was slam packed the away side. So that'll be a lot of fun. Congratulations to them. Also, congrats to Clinton, who was on earlier. They defeated their opponent 35-6, I believe it was. So Clinton is now the 2A state champions. So congratulations to Corey Fountain. What a big win. More state championships tomorrow and Saturday.
Here's a little piece of news for you, Cole, when it comes to the transfer portal and Clemson. They are set to host transfer edge rusher Will Helt from Purdue on a visit in the next couple of days.
Saw that, and that'll be interesting to monitor. Number one, set to host, right? No, done deal yet. Dabo's we talked about it. Dabo with 2025 class, Diesel, he's got to get in. He's got to get in. And I know what his stance is. You know what his stance is, but what was it, 7 2025 players decommitted? 7 or 8. That just leaves you no choice.
He's got to make up for the guys, not just on the deficiencies that he may or may not feel like he has on his roster. He's got to make up for the guys that aren't coming this year, who chose this year to not come.
And that was the talk entering the season, Diesel, about Clemson. What was it, like 4 teams? You and I talked about it. Clemson, Army, and a few others who elected not to use the portal. There weren't many teams, and I think Clemson was one of 4. So I tell you what will be worth watching is it 1? Is it 3? Is it 5? Colorado's got 10 guys right now leaving their program, going into the portal. So as Matt Smith told us of Sports Talk Media Network a few months ago, the portal giveth, but it also taketh away. So it's a double-edged sword. I just wonder if this is the start of a trend for Dabo. You have to, right?
I mean, hopefully Dabo can still do it his way as much as he can. You kick butt in the high school ranks, and you don't have to use the portal very much.
Yeah, but you got to kick butt in the high school ranks.
That's true. That's where it gets tough. All right, we will take a break, come back. We will do a full look at the SEC schedules that were released last night. We dove into South Carolina early in the show today. We'll dive back into that. Gamecock fans, we need you next.
The SEC, Diesel, they say it. It's on their website. It just means more. And they did their schedule release last night for the 2025 season. Already. Here we are.
Is it normal for them to be doing schedule releases this early?
I think so. December.
God.
Oh, by the way, I do want to give a shout out on the stream. One of our Tolos, JB. Shout out to JB's daughter who just got accepted into Clemson.
Wow, congratulations.
How about that? Congratulations to her, JB. And again, I said on the stream, Madcraft, I think, is going to buy dinner tonight for everybody. So dinner on Mad.
Was it on JB or is it on JD? Because his Clinton Red Devils just won a state title.
JD's Clinton. That's right. Congrats, JD. Congrats to JB's daughter and DB.
Where's our JC?
What is the 2 letters in here? I mean, the 2-letter nicknames are killing us in the stream, aren't they?
Somebody changed their handle to FO.
Or yeah. All right.
It's a good idea to leave that one alone.
Leave it alone. Tolo 71307 is the way you can get in touch with the show. Start your text with the word fan. Phone lines are also open during this segment. 844-326-3663. Diesel, the SEC schedule reveal. Let's start with the Gamecocks. We talked about it in the 3 o'clock hour, but we will revisit that to start the segment. South Carolina in conference will host Vandy, travel to Missouri, host Kentucky, at LSU, host Oklahoma, host Bama. They'll go to Ole Miss, to A&M, and that will round out their schedule. Pretty much the exact same from this year, just flip-flopped, if you want to use the old flip-flop analogy. Pretty much same schedule, but, a few different out of conference. They have Virginia Tech, South Carolina State, Coastal, and, of course, Clemson at the end of the season.
Any chance Virginia Tech gives them a game? Any chance?
It's tough to say. Here's the biggest problem. I can go through and predict in my head and in your head what South Carolina will do. The problem is we don't know what they'll look like from a running back standpoint, from a rushing attack standpoint, from a ground attack. That's my concern. I don't know if I'll have them going 10-3 next year like they have the possibility of doing. They've already won 9. If they beat Illinois, it'll be 10 wins. But Diesel, I think Virginia Tech, I think you said it earlier in the 3 o'clock hour, they've got a good chance to go 4-0 again. And Clemson being at home, obviously a little bit of an advantage there. But I don't know. Do you like these schedules just being flipped from one year to the next?
I mean, I guess I'm okay with it because you want to be able to travel to destinations on the other side of the conference that you normally wouldn't have played. Traveling to Oklahoma, I guess next year or the following year after that, you probably have Texas cycle on to your schedule. I want to know, Cole, like who's cycling off and who's cycling back on? Because man, if you're gonna wipe this slate clean and just say, all right, we're gonna add Tennessee, Georgia, Florida. Who else out? Like Texas.
So that's who they don't have. They don't have Tennessee. They don't have Georgia. They don't have How many teams from the SEC?
There's 16 in the SEC. That's 8 conference games. If you wipe the slate clean and put on 8 new teams, the other 8 that you don't play. Right?
God, there's 8 more that they don't play.
Yeah. It would be like I said, Tennessee, Georgia, Mississippi State.
I'm bad at this.
I'm blanking on the other 3.
I'm bad at this.
Who am I missing?
Are you only lacking 3?
Yeah, I've got 4. No, I'm missing 4.
Oh my gosh.
Who
okay,
else
hold
am
on
I
a
missing?
minute. Did you say Vandy?
You can't include yourself, so there's 15 besides you.
Auburn. Florida? Did you say Florida?
I said Florida.
Did you said Texas? You said Georgia?
Yeah.
You said Mississippi State.
Maybe the math ain't mathing here.
Matt, we're terrible at math. This is going to drive me crazy. I don't know why I'm struggling with my math here. I'm Googling
SEC membership.
Yeah, the full list. So Alabama. Was that who we missed? No, Alabama's on the schedule.
They're on the schedule.
They're on the schedule. Arkansas.
There you go.
The Razorback. How could you forget Sam Pittman?
Forget about the Razorbacks.
So you're right. It was 4, right?
Yeah.
So they don't play.
And you can't include yourself. So
that's right.
3.
That's right. So the current schedule, they don't play Arkansas. They don't play Auburn.
So there'd have to be at least one repeat to make out a full 8-game schedule.
They don't play Florida.
At least one, probably, I guess 2.
I cannot. I'm telling you for the life of me, I don't like the divisionless conferences. South Carolina Diesel should always play Florida, Georgia, and Tennessee. I don't like this. They're not playing either one of them or all.
Greg
not playing
Sankey
any
wasn't
of them.
listening to the show that day when I said this is a bad idea. This is a
Stupid.
bad idea. Like, why would I want to play Mississippi State more, but play Tennessee less?
Yeah.
Why would I want to play Arkansas more, but Florida less?
I can't get that. I don't understand that at all. So again,
we had the conversation the other day. What if because the SEC is so hard, and because playing an 8-game schedule in the SEC, it is unlikely that you are going to finish for most teams. You're going to finish with fewer than 2 losses.
Yeah.
So you're probably going to have 2 built in. Maybe somebody goes on a run and has an epic season, loses 1 or goes undefeated. But even in playoff contention, you're going to have a lot of 2-loss teams in there. With the regular season being so hard, I don't think the answer is to shift to 9 conference games. I think the answer is to switch to 7. It's to reduce to 7 conference games, and then you get 1 more out of conference opportunity. And hey, if you want to use it to boost your strength of schedule because you don't feel like you got a very strong one, that I guess I'm sure there's somebody in the offices saying, hey, just so you know, 3 years from now, here's going to be your opponents.
Yeah.
And they could look at that and say, okay, well, we need to either add somebody tough out of conference, or we can take a week off and add Mercer.
It just still doesn't feel right. It doesn't. It's going to take me a long time adjusting to South Carolina not playing Florida, Tennessee, and Georgia. Auburn, every other, they'd play them. They'd mix them in from the West. All right, here's a fun game. A way too early. As of December the 12th, prediction on what they go in 2025.
Yep.
August 31st. Is this at Mercedes-Benz Stadium?
I don't think attendance at that game is going to be particularly strong.
I think Gamecock fans will.
Gamecocks will be there.
Show up.
I don't think Virginia Tech will. So
no, I don't either.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Does Virginia
if
Tech
they
have a good? I mean, are they a traveling? I don't know. I don't know that they're much of a. I mean, from Blacksburg to Atlanta,
it's hard to judge it when you're talking about only seeing them play at Clemson because they only give them a small allotment of tickets.
That's true.
They don't give them a ton, right? So it's hard to say. I don't know. I haven't seen, just very informal polling, driving around looking for Virginia Tech stickers, car flags, that kind of thing.
You don't see them.
I don't see very many of them. I mean,
Random
occasionally
guess,
you will.
How far do you think it is from Blacksburg, Virginia to Atlanta, Georgia?
Blacksburg to Atlanta, hours or miles?
Both.
I'm going to say that's about a 4.5-hour drive, which it's through the mountains a little bit.
So I'll tell you this, it's 6 hours and 42 minutes.
That's not a short drive.
No, that's almost too long of a drive to drive. I mean, really.
Yeah, but what kind of regional airstrip are you going to?
410 miles.
What kind of regional airstrip they have over there in Western Virginia that you're going to hop on a plane? I mean, I guess I don't know. I don't even know how you fly down there. That's kind of a pain. Kind of sucks being up there in the middle of nowhere. It's Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson talking about the South Carolina 2025 schedule, doing a little early prediction.
So we'll do a little early prediction. Let's go to the phones first before we do a little early prediction. Mark, good friend of mine, wants to jump in and talk about the divisions or the divisionless conference. Mark, what's up, man?
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
Hey, I think you ought to go back to 18 divisions. Then you play your 7 teams in the East and the West, and then you play one out of your, if you're in the East, you play one out of in the West.
Yeah.
And then that don't count towards your standings in the conference.
I can see it being used as a tiebreaker, but
Right.
as far as conference standings go, and hey, all you got to do is win your division, and you're going to the SEC title game.
Yeah, I don't like that. The top 2 play for the championship.
I don't either. I just said it's going to take me, Mark, a long time to get used to South Carolina not playing Tennessee, Florida, and Georgia every single. I don't like it.
Yeah, well, I mean, you look at the schedule that just came out, and you got them not playing 4 of the pretty good teams that they could lose to.
Sure.
And I'm going to make a prediction for them. The best I think they can do next year will be 10-2. Worst, maybe 8-4. With what they got, who they got to play with.
Yeah.
And
Where do you see those 4 losses coming from, Mark? You got
LSU.
Yep.
Alabama. Who's the other team?
You got Ole Miss on the road, A&M on the road.
Ole Miss. Yeah, and A&M.
Okay.
And yeah.
So he's calling it way early. He's calling a Clemson win at home in Columbia.
Angela, what you want to talk about?
Yep.
All right. Okay, that's
what you want to
bold prediction. Appreciate you. Thanks. 844 fan phone 844-326-3663. We got calls coming in fast and furious now that we're talking South Carolina Gamecock football in 2025.
Yeah, and by the way, thanks, Mark. Sorry I had to answer the phone socket. What did he? Who was his 4th loss?
His 4th was A&M.
Gotcha.
So he's got A&M on the road, loss. Ole Miss on the road, loss. Alabama at home. LSU on the road.
Really?
This is 4 losses.
Well, you know what? I mean, I could see that. Hopefully it's not, right? I mean, again, for me, it all comes down to how do you replace Rocket Sanders. Angela wants to chime in on the renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone, 844-326-3663. She wanted to comment when we were having the conversation about the Virginia Tech fans. How are you, Angela?
I'm great. This is a Hokie calling. So
wow. They are out there.
Yes, they are. We travel very well, so we'll be excited to play South Carolina. So I think more will come than you think. And we do have an airstrip at Tech, and then there's also an airport. So we're not totally
Hey,
everything.
Angela, I've heard all the jokes. I went to App State. They say the same jokes. You need a Sherpa and some climbing gear to get there. So I know all about it.
Angela, how many are you? Let me ask you this. You live in the upstate here, I would assume?
I do now. I do.
How many Virginia Tech fans do you, are there a bunch of Virginia Tech fans out there here in the upstate?
If there are, I don't know where they are. Because, it's so dominated by Clemson.
Yeah.
So, which is bleh. But anyway.
Angela, if you were you being a Virginia Tech Hokie, how would you make a call to other Virginia Tech Hokies? Do you have like a turkey call that you can do for us to maybe call out some other Hokie fans?
Turkey call. Go, 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 go.
Angela, we appreciate you.
Appreciate you being a good sport.
That's right. Appreciate you listening to the show as well as thanks for the call. I didn't look at there. There's one Virginia Tech fan that we found.
That's going on a promo. It's got to.
And
we had Cocky for a reason.
Throwing out rooster. That's true. That's 2 bird
reference.
And JD howling.
JD was howling.
Yeah, something's in the water today.
It's a day today, man.
Something is in the water. So how about that? Angela is a Virginia Tech fan. She said she is now a resident. So it sounded like she moved here from somewhere else, maybe up there. But again, it's just one of those fan bases you don't like. We have so many Ohio State fans that have moved from Ohio down, in North Carolina, Charlotte area, South Carolina. We hear from Tolo Steve, Buckeye Mike, the list goes on and on. So we hear from these large fan bases from Ohio State fans and all these other fan bases, but Virginia Tech it's just weird. When you get into the ACC, you don't really start having the fan bases here as much, other than Angela, like she said, the Clemson fan base, because obviously it's in the same state.
I asked Google because Google knows all. 53% of Virginia Tech alumni live in Virginia. I would assume a very large portion of them live in the D.C. metro area. North Carolina has the second largest population with a lot of tech graduates. I'm sure a lot of them are headed towards Raleigh and towards Charlotte. And then Maryland is number 3. And I assume that incorporates a lot of the greater D.C. metro area. So yeah, I realize you can hop on a plane. You don't have to walk barefoot all the way down from Blacksburg.
That's still a long way though.
Yeah.
For a drive. I didn't realize it was 6 and some change, 6.5 hours. Mark let me know that Brian Lane, the football coach at Westside, who's playing for a state championship tomorrow, he's a Virginia Tech Hokie because his son plays there.
Oh, about that.
So he goes from Anderson. He was on TV a couple of weeks ago. He goes from Anderson, where he lives, all the way to Virginia Tech, just about 5 or 6 weekends of the season. So not many Virginia Tech fans, but good to hear from those that are. All right, we will run to a break. Final segment up next, Diesel.
That's right. It's on the other side. You said it, Cole. There's something in the water out there today. I'm a little confused as to what's going on.
Virginia Tech fans.
Yeah, Angela called in and she did a turkey gobble.
It's great, by the way.
Cocky for a reason, crowed like a rooster. JD was howling at his dog. I assume that Jersey Joe is calling in to give us another animal sound to add to the list and add to the promo. Jersey Joe, what's on your mind today?
Hey, Diesel and Cole, how are you guys doing today?
Good, man. Hope you are.
Hey,
It's great. Great stuff.
What's up, Joe?
I know you heard Angela saying she was a Hokie fan.
Yeah.
Well, actually, Jersey Joe's a Hokie fan, too.
No. Really?
Yeah, believe it or not, I had family go there. I had a niece go there, and I had a cousin go there, and I kind of adopted them as my team, you know?
Yeah. So
even though I am a Jersey boy, I still root for my Rutgers.
Oh, that's what I was gonna ask you if you had a team prior to that.
Oh no, I still root for my Scarlet Knights.
Isn't that crazy? 2 Virginia Tech fans in the upstate we've heard in this hour.
I thought you two might know each other.
Yeah.
I always tell people, they say, "Who's your favorite teams?" I say it's the Hokies, the Scarlet Knights, and whoever beats Clemson.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Appreciate it, Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
All right, guys.
That's good. Hokies, Scarlet Knights, and whoever beats Clemson.
Love it.
Man.
So, Cole, there was a caller towards the tail end of Jim Rome today who
JD?
No, it wasn't JD, but JD did get on Rome today. Congratulations to you, because I think that's like the second or third time he's been.
I think he's on every day.
That was bagging on the people of Cleveland who keep voting down the new Cleveland football stadium that would essentially dome the Browns stadium. And they say, well, we don't want that. We can't have that. We can't have that. And the guy made a good point. He said they're calling for the stadium to be built so that we could potentially host a Super Bowl in Cleveland. If we've got 3 feet of snow, we're never going to host a Super Bowl in Cleveland. They're going to keep sending this thing down south, Cole, which is funny because right now the Buffalo Bills are unable to practice ahead of the biggest game of their season against Detroit because they've got 2 feet of snow in Buffalo right now, and they don't have an indoor practice facility, and they play in an outdoor stadium.
Why do you not have an indoor practice facility?
I guess they don't. So this, according to this,
that makes no sense to me.
2 feet of snow has canceled practice, and they're holding meetings virtually amid the bad weather. Part of it may be real difficult to travel to the stadium, but then again, it's Buffalo, New York.
It's Buffalo.
They can get ice and snow off the roads.
Where's the game? Is the game in Buffalo Sunday?
The game is at Detroit, I believe.
So they'll be good.
Yeah, they'll be fine
if they can get out.
But this is why, people. This is why stadiums up north should all have the ability to close the roof. They should all have a closable dome. Doesn't mean you have to close it all the time. Doesn't mean the threshold for what constitutes bad weather to close the dome should be very low, like where you get 2 snowflakes, close the roof. No, but when you're heading into the biggest game of the season against the best team you're going to face, every moment of practice time is crucial.
You couldn't be more wrong. You couldn't be more wrong. Diesel, do you understand how great it is to see the fans covered in snow, freezing, putting their drinks in the snow in the stands because it's -8 degrees outside and they're all crazy and Buffalo fans are lunatics?
You like to watch it on TV.
I do.
Because you like Schadenfreude.
I like the product. Just like the other night when it was the couple of weeks ago, it was Browns and Steelers maybe.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Browns and somebody. It was Jameis because, I think it was Browns. Anyways, I love the product of a snow game on TV. It looks great. There's nothing better. I understand your point, though, about having a retractable roof, but then you block off all the fans, and the fans won't get snow. It's a bucket list of mine to be at a game in the pouring down snow.
So what if
it's just part of the experience?
What if here? Let's just pretend this game upcoming was in Buffalo, right?
Yeah.
What if Jared Goff slips, falls, snaps his knee?
Oh well. I mean,
all because you don't think it's right to put a roof over a game.
Well, he shouldn't have been running that way. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
oh, come on. There's so much money involved here, Cole. You gotta be able to regulate the environment somehow, even if it's just a little bit.
I don't know.
Regulate the environment.
But let me see. That game, is Sunday afternoon in Detroit. So, maybe they should just flip it. And,
if I'm then, I'm saying let's hop on a plane. Let's get out of here now.
Yeah, you might want
so that we have as much time to practice as we can.
Wonder if we'll ever get this will be a fun little lesson to look into for tomorrow's show. Has there ever been a snow game in Charlotte? I wonder if we'll ever get a snow game in the Carolina Panthers. I mean, wouldn't that be fun? Us run up 85 an hour and be able to go to a Panthers game in the pouring down snow.
That'd be one thing. I think if Charlotte ever had one, I would want it to be like a dumping snow rain.
Me too.
Dumping snow.
But Charlotte don't get snow hardly ever.
Not like that.
Because people don't realize Charlotte's like this way. It's east, it's so far east. It's not the western. The western part of North Carolina gets a lot of the snow, and whatever reason you go east in North Carolina, you just don't get a lot of snow. So,
Tolos, it's been fun hanging out with you yet again here on the show. Appreciate you.
Snow show.
For your participation all day long. We'll be back tomorrow to do it again on Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson.
Tolos.